On the morning of the 27th of January 2023, a 45-year-old woman named Nicola Bulley left her home in Inskip to drop her children off at school before proceeding to walk her beloved dog Willow around some fields adjacent to the River Wyre in St Michael's on Wyre, Lancashire, England. This was a walk that she would do daily, and it was very routine. She walked Willow around those fields before making her way back towards the bench and the Kissing Gate area. She was seen at approximately 9:10 a.m. by a witness on the upper field. Now, at approximately 9:33, her mobile phone and dog Willow were found by another dog walker at the bench, but there was no sign of Nicola. She was never seen alive again. Now, shortly after this, she was reported missing, and not before long, the police had already had a main working hypothesis, and that was that Nicola Bulley had gone into the river. What's important here is foul play and third-party involvement were ruled out, no crime scene was set up, and there was no police days searching for Nicola in the river, but there was still no sign of her. So friend Emma White, many of us will know who Emma White is, and partner Paul Ansell then resorted to calling search and rescue experts. SGI, Specialist Group International, headed by yourself, Peter Faulding, to come and assist with the search. Now, Peter and his team searched the river for 2 days, but were seemingly unsuccessful in their search for the mum of two. Peter subsequently stated to the media that there was no sign of Nicola in the river. Yet 9 months later, on this very channel, in an interview with myself, I asked Peter, yourself, this question. Why did you say so confidently that if Nicola was in the river, I will find her? That old soundbite. I can guarantee you that. Now I'm quoting you there. To which you replied, well, I did find her in the river. Okay. Now, the world was shocked, confused, and didn't know what to make of it. And I think you can understand that, of course.
Yeah.
Now, in that interview, you went into great detail about the whole your whole experience on the search, the problems you faced, and you explained why you said one thing in February 2023 and said something completely to the contrary in November of 2023. So 9 months later.
Yeah.
Now, since then, you have produced sonar imagery, kind of hand force. I'll let you talk about that later on, of what you claim to be Nicola Bulley lying on the riverbed. And then that was met by a mixed reaction. Now, this week you released a statement coupled with a 19-page in-depth statement declaring that you had your sonar imagery verified by experts and that your findings have been confirmed. Also this week, you shared for the first time to the public a video of live sonar data of what you claim to be Nicola Bulley in the river. Now, the podcast in which Peter Faulding shared that live sonar and explained it and went into detail is linked in the description below. So I'd advise anyone to go and watch that. Not yet. Hey, don't move. After this, go and check that out, as well as my interview, which is linked down there, and my full Nicola Bulley playlist. I've got a vast amount of work and in investigative work on the Nicola Bulley case. So all three are listed below. So just one more time, the podcast you did where the live sonar data is there, our interview from November 2023, and the Nicola Bulley case playlist. So check that out after. Right. Very supportive of yourself and your claims of finding Nicola Bulley. Now, before we get into so for the people in the chat, I've got 12 questions coming up. And then we're going to go into, I'm going to hand over the microphone to Peter Faulding, and we'll go from there. So,
okay.
Is there anything that you want to say to this audience and even, the wider public that have supported you? But as we are sat here now in front of many people on this channel, is there anything you want to say to people that are watching right now?
Yeah, I'd like to big thank you for all those people who've supported me. I've taken a lot of flack. I've had my reputation destroyed in forensics for over 30 years of work. Fantastic work myself and my team have done, and it really hit us hard going along just to help a family. But the overwhelming support, and it is overwhelming, of if I look at the SGI Facebook, my author Facebook, it's just positive. Everything is positive. And also the families and people like Emma Downs, we've recovered Ellis Downs from the river. They went through a similar incident where their son was laying in the river for 3 days. They couldn't find him. We come along and found him within 40 minutes of a police operation that was searching for 3 days. And he was found just where he drowned, basically. And the amazing support of other families who have helped over the years. So, yeah, that's from me to say big thank you for believing in me. And I can tell you now, I would not, if I was wrong, I would admit that I was wrong. I've got nothing to hide. And I wouldn't, they say that if you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything. I've got no script here tonight. I've never have done. You saw me when we done our interview before. I never had a script. We haven't rehearsed this because you're straight down the line. You said I'm going to ask you some questions. I don't even know what them questions are going to be. I've got nothing here, just myself and another cup of water I've just got earlier as a backup. And so I'm not rehearsing anything. I don't know what I'm going to be asked. I will talk through the operation from the start to the finish and the flaws, talk through my statement. That statement I did the other day took me an awful lot of work to do, and my wife helped me with it as well. And it was a lot of work to put that together, to make it the fine detail and go through every single part of the College of Policing flawed report. And I just needed to get the story out there. I suppose it kicked off for me after the BBC documentary when Rebecca Smith, the senior investigating officer, smirked at me and said, and then along came Peter Faulding and laughed at me. And that was the day after I thought, enough's enough. Enough is enough. I'm done now. I probably would have just had to leave it, but it was just constant, and the discrediting continued constantly. And I thought, no, I'm going to fight back now. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm here to tell the truth. And, I hope everybody just sits and listens. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there is, Peter. I'm looking forward to getting right into this. A moderator, YouTubers watching, said something a moment ago. Put some hearts in the chat. Let me just go back. Where? What was that comment? What did you say now? What did you say? Add a heart to the chat if you are Team Peter. I said this the other day, right? You know what I am, right? Now, hold on, let me go down. We became friends, of course, right? And I'll even say this now, right to you, yeah?
Yeah.
And I said this in a video the other day. I'm not in any team personally, right? I am Team Truth.
Yeah.
Just so happens that I have a lot of faith and trust in you, knowing you as the person that I got to know. So it just so happens that you fall into Team Truth. And I want to say to people that are all here that, and this genuinely comes from within myself. When I first got on the phone to, well, a lot of people may agree with this. Watching you on TV, talking to the media, and we'll get into talking to the media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I saw somebody that seemed to be, in my opinion, one of few that seemed very genuine, and a lot of people surrounding it and the investigation seemed really, really odd and really dodgy. And you seem quite genuine. When I made my video about the inquest, something that really bugged me afterwards was I kept thinking about it. I was like, why how were SGI and Peter Faulding not invited to the inquest? That, it was bugging me. I was sat there. So when I put a video out going a message of support to Peter Faulding, I'm sat on the sofa. I'm in a gym t-shirt. I never thought you'd see it. I was like, I can't sit here and just see this. Said a message of support, and if you agree that he's been thrown under a double-decker bus, scapegoated, like the video, and it got loads of likes. And then, you know, tried to get you on the channel. You popped into the live, and then, you know, I got a message from someone saying that you wanted to speak to me. I rang SGI and got put through to you, and you were just the guy I thought you would be. And then when I came down to do that documentary at your house, when we went around the animals and we did the interview and we talked about different cases, we looked at the SONAR, which looked for Nicola Bulley. I met all of the lads, great team, very professional, and went around all the farm and whatnot. And from the bottom of my heart, for everybody, like, what you see is what you get. I don't look, pardon the French here, but I'm not one to like talk shit, right? I'm very straight to the point, and what you see is what you get with Peter Faulding. So I just want to put that out there, okay? So, right, let's have a look at a few of these comments. I've been told as well that one second. I've been told that the connection is really good now, so we're all good. Right, what I'm going to do. By the way, great work, mods. I believe, because obviously, like, it's Whack-A Troll night. You can all come in and give it a go, but see you later, alligator. So, right, what I'm going to do now, Peter, is I'm going to read your statement for anyone that's not aware of it, and I am then going to I'm going to ask you 12 questions.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Right. This was from the 29th of September. Peter Faulding, Facebook page. Okay. At 2:00 this morning, the Daily Mail published an exclusive article on Specialist Group International search for #Nicola Bulley. Alongside this, part 3 of my podcast with geographical profiler Douglas McGregor is now live on YouTube. That is linked below, but watch it. Go and watch it afterwards, obviously. Showing for the first time previously unseen live sonar footage from my search of the River Wyre. Important to know, Nicola's family were informed in advance and raised no objection. Okay? Their well-being remains my first concern. The footage shows what I identified within 6 minutes of starting my search, just 75 meters downstream from the bench where Nicola's phone and harness were found. My requests to deploy Specialist Group International divers were refused. Later that day, I rescanned the area by moving the boat closer to the bank to obtain clearer images. The following morning, I asked again for permission to rescan the area and to deploy SGI divers. That request was declined, and SGI were asked to leave.
Yeah.
So many questions. In the months that followed, I offered my live sonar data set for review. Now, I just want to say quickly, I have seen a comment saying, why did the experts back then only see a picture? But I'm going to, you've explained that isn't the case, so I'm going to read this. In the months that followed, I, Peter Faulding, offered my live sonar data set for review, but it was never properly examined. Instead, the College of Policing review overlooked this vital evidence. I repeat, the College of Policing review overlooked this vital evidence. The unnamed sonar experts quoted in that review never saw the live sonar data being released today and gave opinions based only on a single PDF still image. So they were offered the live data. Right. Going to make this a point, okay? You came on my channel this last time, December Q&A, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And you said you're going to get experts to verify your sonar. Right. Anyone who's watching, any doubters or whatever, whoever it may be, okay? I'm just going to read this. Independent experts who have since reviewed the full data set have confirmed my findings. Those responsible, including the College of Policing, Lancashire Constabulary, and the unnamed SONAR experts, must now be held to account for allowing the flawed and misleading report, which was presented to the public. Sorry, I said that like there was more to that sentence, which was presented to the public. Forgive me. I also want to make it clear that neither I nor Specialist Group International received any money from the Daily Mail article or from the podcast, nor have I ever received any money, or you've ever received any money. This is and always has been about the truth. The people of the United Kingdom have had enough of scandal after scandal. Yeah. Say that again. Families deserve answers, not silence. I respectfully call on Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood to ensure that those responsible for commissioning and preparing the review are brought before the Home Affairs Select Committee. Only by doing so can we restore public confidence and improve future search standards. Above all, this is about Nicola, a much-loved daughter, partner, and mother. My thoughts remain with her family and friends. By sharing this evidence, I hope no other family will ever have to face the same uncertainty again. It is the mark of true leadership to admit mistakes, learn from them, and make changes to rebuild trust. Signed off, Peter Faulding, founder and CEO of Specialist Group International. All supporting documents are on Specialist Group International's website under Nicola Bulley.
Yeah.
So that is the statement. Okay, Peter. So now I'm going to, 1 second, because I've just scrolled up. I'm going to now go into my questions, okay? So, everyone, I'm about to do the interview. Again, one more time, hit that like. The more likes it gets, the more this video is going to be moving around the algorithm. Share, leave your comments, etc., etc. Sorry to sound like a broken record, but that's just the way it is. Right, Peter. Right. A lot of people have wondered this, okay? Why has it taken from December 2023, when you first said to myself that you would get the sonar images verified by US experts, to the end of September, so last week, for this to finally happen?
Right. Well, I got the sonar imagery verified a lot earlier, but it's taken a year to get the podcast actually put together. A lot of work's gone into that. It's not just it's a recording. It's been, Douglas is from Canada. There's been an awful lot of work gone into this, a lot of research. The thing is with Douglas McGregor, whose podcast it is, he's a geographic profiler that works on multiple missing person type cases, works alongside the FBI, so highly credible. So he's looked at it from his point of view. Also, Dr. Mark Harrison, was the former National Search Advisor in the police that I worked with back in 2001. I got the sonar in 99, and then with Mark I worked on the original sonar trial, so I was the first person ever to pioneer its use in the UK for forensic search, the first ever. I funded it myself. I got working with Mark. I got put on the experts database back in 2001, and since then we went on to do multiple missing person cases, buried human remains, because people I don't just deal with water. I've dealt with a lot of serial killer type things like Peter Tobin, buried human remains, buried weapons, drugs, all sorts of things. So that's why it's taken getting Mark on board, and Neil McDonough, the sonar specialist as well. But I've also got 2 others in the background who will give any evidence in any future hearing or court of law. So it's not just 1, it's 3. And I mean, when you look at the sonar imagery live and you get talking through it, like in the podcast, if you look at the podcast, you can so clearly see, it's a body laying there. You can't miss it. You don't need to be a sonar expert to actually look at that, but we can come on to that a bit later. That's why it's taken a long time. And it was only for the first year went by, I suppose it was when that BBC documentary came out, because the BBC, the people who made it for the BBC, they made it for the BBC. Rogan, I think it was Rogan Productions, one of the 2. They come to see me at home, and they wanted me to take part as well as the ITV one before that. And I said no, I don't want to be on TV. I don't mind doing a crime documentary that I just recorded another one recently on a case. They come to me, I don't go to them. And to be honest, I don't get paid for these. People think I get a lot of money for them. I don't get paid for these documentaries. People will know that and back me up on it. So I'm quite happy to give my time to give the input of what we actually done on the job. And they're done in line alongside the police detectives as well, who give input to the actual documentaries. And that's where we ended up. So there's a lot to put together. But it was after the BBC one, I warned Rogan Productions that I said I found Nicola in the river, and I showed them the live sonar data. And I actually said, do not make any misleading statements about me. I don't want to be pitched against Lancashire Police, because I could see what was going to happen. I was going to be pitched against them, and it was going to be Peter Faulding versus Lancashire Police. I never wanted a battle with the police. I went up there to help a family. Now, normally that's the first time ever in my history that I've ever fallen out with police, ever. We're always with open arms, because we're the ones who are called in by the police generally to actually help retrieve evidence and missing people. So that's quite important to know. It's normally us, not against the police, but with this particular operation, we were up against a brick wall. So that's why it took a long time.
Do you know? I want to say something. Do you know, you were saying about you didn't do the documentaries and stuff like that. Many people. This is a great opportunity for us, like this for you. But I also want to say, chip in a couple of things as well. Many people I've seen have gone like, "Why has he gone to this small YouTube channel, very, very tiny at the time, growing? Why has he gone to a small YouTube channel?" And do you know what? Right, I've been called. I'll reel them off: actor, Freemason, gatekeeper, MI5. I wish I was MI5. I wish, because the dough, right? Crisis actor, part of the psyop, part of the establishment. Oh, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Why this channel, Pete?
Good question,
The people
Luke.
that go, why has he gone there? He must be.
Well, do you know,
he must be part of it. He must be being paid.
I'll be totally honest. When it all happened, when I wasn't invited to the inquest, and then you contacted me about, I'd like to talk to you on my channel, and I never thought about anything. It was only when I met you I thought, actually, I trust this guy, and I said, I would like to do, because at the time I knew that something they were going to probably. A very good friend of mine is an ex-chief constable, and he sort of said, they're setting you up. They're setting you up, and this report's going to be written about you, and they're going to lay the blame completely at your door for this whole operation, because they got it badly wrong themselves. So it's going to be laid at me. And I thought, at that time, when I showed you the live data at the farm, and I thought, can we make a YouTube? Can I do because I was thinking I'd got to do some form of statement to put this out there, because I got contacted by the Sky News reporter and said that the College of Policing are holding a closed press conference online about your sonar imagery prior to the release of the report. Now, this is unbelievable, and I've got the FOI. If you go on to the link on our website under Nicola Bulley, you'll see it. The FOI is actually in there. A gentleman kindly sent it to me, and they held a press conference to say that Peter Faulding they put a couple of images on the screen, They weren't allowed to report on it. It was non-reportable. It's actually in the Freedom of Information, and you can't photograph the screen. Peter Faulding will claim that he found Nicola Bulley. He didn't. So they were discrediting me prior to the release of the College of Policing report. That was the first. So I had to fight back, and I had to put that actually out there. So we planned to release that 6 minutes into the College of Policing review.
Yeah.
You remember, and we did. And remember Martin Brunt from Sky News questioned Sir Andy Marsh and Andrew Snowden, now a Conservative MP, to actually say, because Andrew Snowden commissioned this report, to actually say to them, Peter Faulding claims that he found Nicola in 6 minutes. And that's the time he said we searched the bench 3 times. Now that's a key point here. They searched the bench. Now in the report, it actually says they searched it. If you look at Doug's video, you look at it, it's like 6 times. But the bench, Nicola wasn't near the bench. Nicola was 75 meters. Now on the first day she was there, the police search advisor said that he believed that she had already gone over the weir. That's the briefing I got. When I get that, it's the only briefing I got. He believed she went over the weir. So we weren't even allowed to search that area initially. So we were tasked with search. I'll come on to that later. But
Yeah.
that was it. That was the theory. She'd already gone over the weir. So yeah, there's lots to talk about.
Yeah, there sure is, Peter. So, right, this quote. Oh, thank you to Sean Essex for that super chat. Best channel on the Nicola Bulley case. Big love to Sean. Let's put a love heart on there. So thank you for that. Okay, let me just turn that up. Right, Pete. Keep calling you Peter. I'll call you Pete. Right, this quote comes from your statement, and I quote: "Independent experts who have since reviewed the full data set have confirmed my findings."
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, with these questions, I have tried my best to think of what most people would want to ask. I'm not a mind reader, I'm not psychic, so I can't ring the planet. But I'm trying to ask what people may want to ask. Right. Who was it who actually verified the SONAR images, and what qualifies them to do so?
So Neil McDonough, he works alongside search and rescue teams across the UK. He's a US trained sonar operator, so he trained with a specialist sonar manufacturer in the United States that he actually went out there to train. So he's a very competent sonar operator, knows what he's doing, got his own equipment. But not only that, we had 2 US experts look at it as well. So it's not just him, and they remain unnamed at the moment because they are in the back pocket, because I think this will probably end up in front of a court case in the future, a legal case. Yeah, well, we won't go there at the moment, but that's probably what's going to happen. But I've got other independent experts to verify my findings as well. So Neil's, I mean, he's looked through the data, and he come up with exactly the same conclusion as I did from when he saw the live data. Now, I want to make it clear that the unnamed experts from the College of Policing were given a PDF image. Okay, one was an unnamed government sonar expert, and the other one was from Cranfield University, who are academics. They're not practitioners who go out there looking for missing people. And they judged my data on a single PDF image. Now, I offered my live sonar data in a letter sent to the College of Policing on the 27th of I think it was September, not October. So October, I think. To the College of Policing, I sent it to them. And I said, with the 3-page letter, it's on the website. It's all there as evidence that this is without doubt Nicola Bulley. You need to look at the live data set. We need, because the trust in the British police is at an all-time low. We need to be honest. Just own up. At the end of the day, let's get this right. Mistakes were made. But they come back and said, we've had independent experts look at it. Thank you very much. But and the letters there, their reply, I've got nothing to hide. That's why I've put the evidence up in public. And they said there was nothing there. Nothing there. Okay, that was their image. Nothing. A sonar image cannot be created by nothing. So, like I said in my report, the 17, 18 pages, if you stand in a field with your back from the sun, you'll cast a shadow. It's exactly the same. A sonar operates on sound waves. So once it hits a target and the area behind it where the light or the sound can't go, then it creates a shadow, but also it will show the object as well. So in the first scan, we got the two pictures, symmetrical picture of the arms, Nicola's arms, so you can see its arms. Because if it was tree branches, you don't get two tree branches looking exactly the same. Tree branches have prongs coming off of them. This was too clean. I'm used to that image of picking bodies up. I know exactly what a body and a pair of arms looks like, and it measured correctly as well. So then you look at the what that image is, without a doubt. And then in the afternoon we went back to then get another image. So I sent all the images to the police on the day. And again, we'll come on to the dive later, what actually happened. I'll let me talk freely about how this all panned out. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, for the audience, like once these 12 questions are complete, I'm handing the metaphorical
Yeah.
microphone over to
Okay.
yourself, Peter,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you
Great.
lead the way. I've got this COP
Okay.
report, I've got the statement here, and yeah, we'll just go for it. Right now, I was sent this from somebody, and it's not my question, but it's from a group on Facebook. They're not aware that I'm going to ask this,
Go on.
so if they're watching now, they're going to be shocked. The group is called Justice for Nicola Bulley, and right now it's a screenshot. It just says, "Oh, Justice for Nicola Bulley and OTH," which I would presume is others or other missing people. I don't have Facebook, so I can't find out. But Justice for Nicola Bulley. And this is their question from that group, and I think it's a good question to ask you because it comes from an important group dedicated to Nicola Bulley, basically. Okay, I quote: "A big question. Peter trying to recreate the shadow, right? So basically, where you are lying on the grass, and on one side, then you've got the sonar image on the other side. It says here, why does the target not appear solid like Peter's and other sonar body images seen? I'm no expert on sonar whatsoever, so an explanation would help for many still unsure what to think. And then where's the target's legs shadow?"
Right. Let me also make this clear that the Justice for Nicola site, there's two individuals within that site every day who constantly badmouth me every day. I get sent the screenshots because somebody is there watching them. So they just there's two individuals who have tried to discredit me each day, run me down on Twitter, and I know they're part of that group, and this is where one of the questions has come from. So they're trying to catch me out all the time. They won't. At the end of the day, the shadows. So when I did that imagery, I tried to create. I didn't even try, to be honest. I said to my wife one day, I said, "Hang on a minute, I'll just lay on the floor to create." And she said, "You've just done it. Let me take a picture." I wasn't laying there exactly trying to get that picture. I just laid on the floor with my arms out just to recreate it. I was showing Summer, my daughter, and it was bang on. With the arms out, and when you put your hands out, you can actually see the shadows of the points of my hands, just like the shadows of Nicola. And there's many other questions. Is why can't you see the clothing? Clothing isn't dense, so the sound waves are absorbed. So you get the body's very dense. So if you've got a puffer jacket on or something, it will go straight through the clothing, but it will outline the body underneath. Okay, that's the way it works. So that shadow is a shadow of a typical body shadow. I've got so many of them in my armory that I know what a body looks like after all these years. Bearing in mind, I pioneered the use of this sonar. And I'm these people constantly trying to trip me up every day. And like I've always said, I will stand in any court of law. I know exactly who they are. And there's genuine people in the group. Absolutely. I want to make that very, very clear. But there's two who are particularly nasty, who try to run me down, cause me all sorts of problems. It doesn't bother me because I've been around too long for that. It doesn't. I just laugh at it, to be honest with. But they know they are. They'll be watching tonight. But the group is obviously very good. Justice for Nicola. They're trying to get justice like we all are, and that's what's very clear. But that sonar imagery, you can, if you take a dog, if you take a dog where you've got a gap, you can create a gap where there's a gap between your leg. So if you imagine laying on the side and shining a torch if you get a floodlight outside your house and you stand there with the light behind you, it will cast a shadow, as you know, on the lawn or the brickwork. And if you lift your right arm up, then you will get a picture of the arm. If you turn your head that way, you get a different picture. People are going to be going out tonight, then doing this all down the road, I think. But I think it's if you've got a leg lifted, the light will cast through, so it'd be like a hollow. So if the leg is slightly adjusted one way, the sound wave can get through that gap in the leg.
Does that explain where the light in between the shadow?
That's right. Yeah, of course it does. But there's a gap. But you don't know exactly the position. I can see Nicola's laying on the right side without a doubt. I can recreate the images of the shadow, but her legs, I mean, the other people have said to me, that bodies don't lay on their side. I'm afraid they do. They can lay on their, we often pick them up humped over on their side. There's no place a dead person, sadly, will lay either on their right or on their left or on their backs or face down. It doesn't matter. But whenever we pick them up on sonar, whenever my team deploys, I say there's the anomaly. I call it a target. The right word's probably anomaly, but that's what I always tend to use. There's the target, or there it is. And every time I mark it, we put a diver in. I mean, we average, sort of 10 a year when we were covering all the police diving. So we were covering Thames Valley Police, Hampshire Police, Surrey Police, Sussex Police, Kent Police and Essex Police. We covered 6 counties for underwater search and Surrey Fire and Rescue Service. So we were on emergency call as a rapid response. We would respond straight away because you've got 90 minutes to respond to get someone out of the water where the paramedics will attempt resuscitation. So we had a duty of care to get there quickly as possible. And very, very quickly, we would locate them, get them out to the water. I remember one year, the paramedics were trying to resusc about 5 of the casualties we got out because they were that quick. We were that quick locating them. Okay. So shadows are cast in different ways. And they say if you put your arm, bend it at the elbow, you will see the light go through and the shadow will be different. It's no different with sonar. So that's exactly. So if the legs were slightly up where the sonar wave can get through, you'll get like a hollow in the middle. So that will explain the reason why different shadows are. There's, you'll never get an exact shadow exactly the same. Shadows will, whatever way you move, the shadow will cast that way.
Thank you for that explanation.
No, you're welcome.
I know that a lot of people were confused. So I think people that looked at that image, obviously, I worked here a long time ago, so I saw the image before other people. I appreciate that, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think when people look at it, you see like the black part, the shadow.
Yeah.
And then the body to the right of that as you look at it. And I think a lot of people were confused, like, well, where's the body then? Is the black part of the body, or where is it? And then, so just to make it very, very...
Sorry, Luke, let me explain that. So on the first scan in the morning, when I scanned at 10:32, when we got the image, all we got was the shadow of the 2 arms, which I knew straight away was Nicola, because I know I'm all too familiar with that signature. And I said to my team, we found her. Now, I didn't get a picture of the body at that stage because the sonar, if you imagine, the sonar was over the top of the body. I couldn't see her. All I got was the shadow. So we only got to hit it slightly. In the afternoon, when we went back, and I'll go into that later, I got the picture of the body, which is the light area. You can see the shape, and the dark area to the left is the shadow. Okay. In the morning, we just got the two arms. Yeah.
Right.
So that is hopefully explains it slightly.
Yeah. I think it does. I hope it does for everyone in the chat here today. And I've seen, read, heard all of it, that people are confused about the gaps and stuff, and you've explained that.
Yeah.
You've explained those gaps. So thank you for that, and I hope that has been beneficial to many people that are here watching today. Don't forget, keep hitting that like button on when you arrive into the video, or if you've not done it yet, then what are you waiting for? Share the video, comment, all that funky stuff. Right. Okay. Now, I'm going to. I have two, right. I'm gonna. There's two questions I've got here back to back. Right.
Cool.
And they are questions that they're asked all the time on the comments on my channel from our interview, and maybe other things that we've other videos we've done. The answer is in the interview, right? But some people may have never seen an interview.
Okay.
And they see the thumbnail and go, I did find Nicola Bulley in the video. I did find Nicola Bulley in the river.
Okay.
And they'll go, hold on. He said on the TV that there's no sign of her in the river after she was found to the media. And now he's saying that there is. Now, it's explained in the video, but obviously not everyone's seen it. So I'm going to ask this question very, very, very clearly once more. Okay. Why did you say throughout your search for Nicola Bulley in February 2023 that there was no sign of Nicola in the river after she was officially found on the 19th?
Yep.
We're going to get into the prediction of the 19th later on as well.
Yeah, sure.
But in November of the same year, you said on this very channel that you did find Nicola Bulley in the river. Can you explain that, please, Pete?
Yeah, sure, no problem at all. So, right, we got briefed. The only briefing I got basically was when we arrived that any operational information, I must say this, operational information, which is sensitive information, must not be passed on to any media outlet or anything like that, and must not be passed on to the family, because it's a very sensitive subject. So if you do get a find, then it's to be kept quiet. So I found the initial target at 10:32. I informed the pollsterer. I rang him. We done a few more scans. I sent him an image first. Then I rang him to say we found the target. We'll go into what happened later. But anyway, the police dived the target, and they said there was nothing there, which we'll go into more detail on a bit later. So they said there was nothing there. So I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not you. And the team said to me, you're not never wrong on this sort of thing. So, and I was sort of doubting myself at that point. And it was cold, and I got out of the riverbank, and I got grabbed by a lone journalist. And she said, Peter, so, because they did ask me when the police were diving, what are they doing? Because we carried on upriver. And I didn't want to alert the media, because the media everywhere, they were diving on, it was operational information. So I kept it quiet. So the diver said there's nothing there. My dive supervisor relayed that information to me. We walked along, and I got out of the boat, climbed up the riverbank, and I think it was a GB News reporter, very nice lady, and she said, Peter, I said categorically, she's not in the river, because the police officer had just told me there's nothing there. And I've gone, yeah, okay. And that was it. It was a sort of a snap interview in the cold day. I just got out of the river. Policeman's just told, and say, I've said this before, you grow up to trust the police. So I've gone, maybe I'm wrong. I walked back to the truck. And then when I got back to the truck, I said to my team, I'm not happy with this, because you know as well as I do, nothing can't be nothing. A sonar image can't be. There's definitely something there. So we're going to go back, and we are going to rescan that area this afternoon. There was no police around, so take me back down, and we won't tell anybody. We'll just go back and rescan it. And I said, this time, Ollie was on the helm, get me closer to the bank. I need to get a better image so I can actually see if I can see the actual body itself. And he did, and he drove past, and we got a really good image of I can tell straight away. And then we went back, and then I said to my team, we're going to go back in the morning, and we need to put our divers in. Now they're not going to let us dive, so we'll get our divers in at the weir, and then we can work our way upriver. We can do a wade search, slowly working our way up. And I asked the police again the following morning. I said, we want to put our divers in at the weir. I want to re-sonar the area because I'm not quite happy with this. He said, you're not. You're going home today. That's it. You're going home. I'll explain the full story later. There's a chain of events that needs to be spoken about here. So then I got to the stage then where I had to get the truth out, because again, I never told the family because it was operational information. I didn't break that. But once it started to come out that I was being, you could see what I got told I was being set up. I thought, I'm not having this. After spending my last 30 years doing this, I'm not going to be the fall guy for this. I've had enough. And that's why we spoke, and that's why I told you what I found.
Thank you. Have you ever had any reason to doubt the police in your career before?
No. I mean, like I said, I've said it when I wrote my book, but there's 2% of bad in all. Whether there's 2% of bad doctors, 2% of bad nurses, 2% of bad firefighters. There's 2%. There's two. I call it the 2% club. There's 2% bad in everything. And to be honest, I've worked with superb police officers. I've never ever had a crossword with a police officer, apart from on, I think on the Ellis Downs case, we had one because they wouldn't let us dive, which we can come into later. But apart from that, I've never ever had we've always worked, and I still do, work alongside the police with no issues. And I've got the backing of, I want to make it clear, many serving and senior police officers who back me on what I'm doing at the moment to get the truth out there. They can't say anything because they know that their career will be on the line. If they can't speak up for themselves, they can't mention anything on social media. They have to be quiet, otherwise they get sidelined. But there's an awful lot of backing for me to bring the truth out.
Thank you very much. This next question, right? I thought of this, and then I've seen it everywhere as well. And I'm dead intrigued about what you're going to say to this. And I hope that this question is one that the audience will be happy that I'm asking you, right? Okay. It's a little bit loaded. Okay. Slightly.
Yeah. Go on.
Have you ever thought about going back to St. Michael's on Wire and rescanning the exact area of where you claim to have found Nicola Bulley? Now, because if what you are claiming is true, which appears to be the case, then the riverbed should look roughly the same, minus what you claim to be Nicola Bulley. So you'd see the same riverbed minus the body, what you claim to be a body, right? Now, if it's not Nicola Bulley in the riverbed, then the sonar image, if you did it tomorrow, for example, would surely look the same. Have you ever thought to do that?
I certainly have. Yeah, we have thought about doing it, and I fully intention of probably going to do it. But I found out recently the island where Nicola was found has now been removed, which is very interesting.
Removed?
I was sent some pictures the other day. So the island has now been completely excavated away, so which would destroy any evidence on the riverbed. And they've put loads of posts there opposite the island as well, which is very convenient. So
What do you mean? Sorry. What do you mean? Like remove?
Yeah. The island has clearly been created over the years by a sort of bank of sand, and not trees, thin saplings have grown out of it. And on the bank, they've clearly done a lot of work. Well, something's happened there, but it only seems odd in one place. And they've put a load of posts in, and the island where all the growth was coming out, where Nicola was just the other side, has all gone. So that's now disturbed that area completely. So the sonar image will no longer show what's on the bottom. I thought it very odd. But I'm not going to start conspiracy theories about that. It could have been a damn good reason for it, to be honest, but I don't know. But again, let's think about this. I gave the evidence, then I would have thought, firstly, the police had said they'd use sonar. Okay. Where is their evidence? They've never ever, because when I put the and out initially, they've never ever shown their sonar imagery. Because I would have, if someone attacked me and said, Peter Faulding's this, I would have come out fighting and gone, actually, I've got the imagery here to prove this, and I will now release my imagery of what's there. But they haven't. They've never made a statement. So it's a very odd situation, because because they said they use sonar, but what you've got to think about sonar, the National Police Search Advisor advised in the report that SGI have the same equipment as the police. He got no better equipment. I was actually on a recent job looking for Sebastian Sales, and there's 2 police dive teams, not smashing fellas, actually said, Peter, I'd love to see your sonar, because they had an oceanographic company come in the night before to try and find him. They couldn't even get an image. We got perfect images, because they said yesterday we had these sonar people come down from Plymouth. They couldn't even get an image. And I showed them the image. He said, wow, all the police divers came around. He said, far better than ours. That is amazing. And they were blown away by it. And they were really nice. They were there to do a job, to search for a young man. And they recovered him. And at the end of the day, we know our equipment is far, no police force, and where we buy our equipment, that's the best evidence. Terry Sloan, he actually said that no police authority will pay £55,000 for a sonar. He's tried; they won't spend the money. But it's not about the equipment. It's not about. It's like having the best chef's knife. Unless you know how to use it, or you could have the best tools in the garage, but unless you know how to use them tools to strip that car down, unless you're a practitioner, a proper mechanic, you can't do it. And you can't just learn sonar in a couple of days. You've got to be doing it. I've been doing it since 1999, and I pioneered it. I know sonar inside out, and we carried the trials out, and that's why we got Dr. Mark Harrison in the YouTube video, who was the former National Search Advisor. We worked together for years, and that's why he would bring me in to all sorts of different cases, murders, missing people, all sorts, to find what we were looking for, which we always did if it was there. So that's the difference. You've got to, so I having the fancy gear, but you've got to know how to use that. Okay.
There's a saying, all the gear, no idea, isn't there?
That's right. Absolutely. Very true. Very true.
Just one moment. Just Jen, I've just made you a moderator. I've seen you here many, many, many times. Obviously, you've seen that. So yeah, welcome. Hope that's okay. Right. Hold on a minute. Right. The island.
Yeah.
Well, as I just mentioned that, Jessica. Yeah, shout out to Jessica, a friend of mine. 1 second. Where's it gone? Do you know who sanctioned the removal of the island at all?
Me? No. I mean, oh no, I know nothing. I was sent some pictures only a couple of days ago, to be fair, and I I was shocked actually that it's gone. And again, there may have been a genuine reason, because the Environment Agency keep rivers clear, so that may have been an area that was reducing water flow, and they genuinely just removed it. There's maybe a reason for it. That's I'm not blaming anyone for some sort of setup to get rid of everything, because there'd be nothing there anyway.
Yeah.
But I can tell you now, that image is not a tree branch. Tree branches do not look with 2 identical length arms. Impossible, unless someone's got a chainsaw and cut. There's 2 branches sticking out like that. Absolute nonsense. With point, fingers always look similar on sonar as well.
And legs and feet.
Yeah, absolutely. Bent legs. Tree trunks don't have bent knees crossed over on their right with an arm sticking out, or the shadows cast like that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm. I mean, I can't believe that island's gone. That is
Yeah.
Let's not. I'm not even going to go there. Right. We're not here to talk
No,
conspiracy
no.
or anything like that.
Let's not try and. Yeah.
You can. You guys.
No. Yeah,
Whatever. But
I'm not going to go there.
I know what I think, but it's going to stay in the locker for the time being.
Luke, do you mind if I use the bathroom quickly to the loo?
No, you're not allowed. You got to stay there. There you go.
You chat.
Right. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
No, I'll talk to my audience.
Oh, good. Okay.
Now you're having a toilet. Whoa, the island. The island's been removed. That is absolute madness. But I saw some red flags. In the chat when that was mentioned. If you think that's a red flag, hit the red flag in the comment, because that is a giant red flag. Thank you. Unbelievable. Yeah, Peter's not muted the chat, so if he is, I'm not going to say it, but let's hope we don't hear anything that we don't want to hear. Okay. Thanks. Thank you to the moderators so far. Thank you to my new moderators, Just, Jen, and Truth Finders. Thank you to my OG Jenny, and thank you to YouTubers watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that's in the chat. Anyone that's just arrived, Peter Faulding has gone.
I'm here.
To the little boys.
I'm here.
Oh, Peter Faulding's back.
I needed the loo.
I'm just right. Hold on a minute. I've got OCD and my tie's doing my absolute Sweden. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Okay. I've just been told it's fine from across the room. Right. Okay. Thank you, Peter. So, right. This is something that's bugged me. Right. The police predicted. Someone said, "How's the toilet?" The police predicted that Nicola would be found on the 19th of February.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know anyone. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know about anyone else, but I've never heard of a missing person case having a prediction date for their discovery. That is mental. In my opinion. Yeah, always got to say that. They predicted she'd be discovered on the 19th. She was discovered on the 19th. What is your take on that?
Well, it was going to come part of my longer story later, but I'll talk about it now. I'll talk about where Nicola was, and that's one of the good questions, because people say, well, how did she get down the river? So where Nicola was found, 75 meters from the bench, where I know it is Nicola without a doubt, there's, as you go around the bottom corner, if you do Google Earth on St Michael's and Wyre, you've got the bench area, and you'll see it from Douglas's video. You come down and you go round a corner just down from the bench. That's where we started our sonar scan. Now, lead in the last probably, and I'm not going to be exact here, it's probably about 75 to 100 meters to the weir from the corner. We couldn't get our boat past that because the water, if you look at my report, is so shallow, extremely shallow. So a body couldn't get past that. Even with another 6 inches of water, it wouldn't get past. Firstly, bodies don't wash away down a benign river. That's why I put the video that I took on the 7th or the 8th, I think it was the 8th, it was the 8th actually, of looking down into the shallow water at the bottom of the bench, which I need to cover off. So I'll come back to that, but I want to talk about how she got down. So where she was, bodies are, I don't believe Nicola went into the bench. I believe she went in at where this island was, okay? Because bodies go straight to the bottom or very near. Whenever we find them after drowning, they go maybe 1 or 2 meters. They may struggle a bit and try and swim, but they tend to go down. They stay there. They won't move. Now, there was no current in that river. Because the College of Police report is grossly over-exaggerated. They confused river flow with river speed. River speed is if you chuck a leaf or a stick in the river, that's the speed that the stick goes down the river. The actual flow rate is the cubic meters per second that moves past. So if they say 3.8 cubic meters a second, that is the cubic meters of water that's going past that point in one time, the volume of water. So they conveniently put that in the report to sound that it was literally the speed of whitewater rapids. Apparently, that's talking to the experts on it now, and that's not my field. So she was laying on the bottom. She could not have got down that river. If you look at PC Thackeray's video, the reconstruction, again from a Lancashire police officer, he's actually just walking along the river to the weir. It's so shallow you can see the bottom. Couldn't get past it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
I'm not
yeah.
interrupting. I just want to
No,
let you know that.
go on. Yeah, go on.
No, because people don't want me to interrupt you. I'm just saying that I have got I have got something I want to say about that reconstruction later on. So sorry, carry on.
That's okay. So she wouldn't have got past that point. So she was laying there. Now, when Nicola was found in the river, that was my worst day, because I had the media crawling all over me, and they were saying you were wrong. LBC attacked me. Nick Ferrari said, you were wrong. Are you going to apologise to the family now? And I said, no, I'm not, because I've not done anything wrong. And I was just hammered in the paper for you were wrong. No one ever spoke about the police search. I failed to find her. No one spoke about the 10 days of police search, RNLI. I'm not knocking them, by the way. RNLI, the fire service, everybody had searched national resources all the way down to the sea. Never mentioned them, but just targeted me for not finding her. I got the full blame and saying that she wasn't in the river, etc., etc. Now, I wondered, because I said to my wife, she couldn't have got down that. The only way is when Nicola's body decomposed, because people bloat, was she popped to the surface and she was so buoyant that she's floated down over that really shallow area and gone over the weir in the middle of the night. And that's what I thought. What I didn't know, because I left it, I didn't look at the river flow. On the 18th of the 19th of that night, on the 18th, 19th, the police knew this because they put it in their report. They brought in experts to predict what would happen with a body. And this is why I'm certain they knew she was there. I found her. We'll come on to that. On the 18th and 19th, the water, you've got to think, there's two levels of the river. So there's the non-tidal, which is the still section, which isn't salt water or anything. It's just benign, slow-moving river near the bench, down round the corner. That doesn't move. Now the water's flooded on a spring tide up over the weir, and it's pushed thousands of gallons upriver. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Nicola is buoyant because she's slightly decomposed. She's got lifted off the bottom at that stage. And then, excuse me, she's got carried on the ebbing tide, or the tide going out. She's carried over the weir because there's so much water now in that area of the bench. It's flooded it on the 18th and 19th. She's then been carried down over the weir and into the lower section where Jathan Rothwell, not the police, found her. And I believe there was a lot of helicopter action around from flight radar up and down the river around that sort of time, the previous days. Now, why would you bring all these so-called prediction experts in? And in that area, it was really, really strange. And that's how she got in the lower section. Now, we searched that lower section of the river. We searched down to Cartford Bridge. There was nothing there. We could see the bottom when the tide was out. There was reeds. The police, the human remains dogs searched the reeds. The drones would have picked her up, because you could, the where it's shallow, the water's very clear, but where it's deeper, obviously you can't see anything. So it's just the way it works. She would have been found. We had to get out of our boat at Cartford Bridge and pull it up. We couldn't do any more because it was too shallow. So, and we sonared it. There was nothing down there. So she was all where, and they said in the College of Policing report that most bodies, which is fact, are found within 100 metres. They stated this in their own report, 100 metres of where they go in, of the entry point. And again, so very interesting. So they state that, and also, and Doug said in his video, they predicted that tide would lift her body on the 18th and they said when it flooded over the weir. So an own goal.
Own goal. Yeah, well, to add to the own goal, can I throw 2 penny in here?
Sure.
So, right, if is the key word here. Right, so when you went to the police and said you found a target,
Yeah.
okay, if they went in and if they had knowledge of where she was and if
Yep.
that wasn't acted upon, okay,
Yep.
then, and if they were aware that there was a high tide coming,
Yep.
and then they predicted that she'd be found on the 19th,
Yep.
wouldn't that suggest that there was knowledge that she was in between the bench and the weir area for them to know that all that water coming flooding the weir
Yep.
would have to push back out again and take her over the weir?
Well, that's what Doug's alluded to, and he's a geographic profiler. He's alluded to that. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that I did my job on that day. I pointed the target out, but I never knew about that high tide on the 18th and 19th at all. Because I wondered, I said to Adele, the only way that Nicola could have got down there is when the body decomposed, it pops up, and then there's no exact science when they pop up, and then it got taken down the river and over the weir. So very interesting. But again, I think somebody knew something.
Well, that's why I put if because we don't know, but it is food for thought. Like if there was knowledge, if they had knowledge that she was at the island where you say you found her, then knowing that high tide's coming, potentially knowing that the water going out would lift the body over the weir. Pete, can I go to the toilet?
Yeah, sure you can.
Just give me 2 secs.
I'm not going to sing either. There you go. 618. Hello, everybody. I'll catch up in a minute. When he's back, I don't want to talk to myself. Just trying to read your comments, actually. Peter, it's already interesting. Trying to look at the comments. All good. Oh, wow. So I'm squinting. I haven't got my glasses on to read that small print, but shouldn't have left her. I wouldn't have left her there. That would haunt me. Interesting. Thanks for all the positive comments. I've only seen a few because I can't really read it when I'm talking anyway. But thank you. I'm just here to tell the truth. I say I've got no script here, so I'm just answering the questions. I was saying is, if you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything, and I just remember everything on the day that actually what happened on that particular day. So I'll wait for Luke to come back, and here he comes. All right, there you go. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I muted it on purpose.
I was going to say. Okay, I was going to.
Yeah, I'm back.
Can I? There's a really good question here. I saw that someone said, "How could you leave her there?" Sort of thing. Or why did you leave her there when you knew she was there? Right. I need to clear this up. This is really, really, really important. I've been attacked a lot on social media. Why don't you just jump over the side of the boat, dive down, and grab her? Firstly, you're looking at deep, dark water where potentially you can't just. It's very easy, all the hero talk, but actually, when you're a diver and you understand what the water can do to you. So the water's dark, it's cold. This is a police operation. Okay. Now, I cannot break the law. We done everything within law. We notified the police of the target was there. They dived it. They said there was nothing there. I went back on my own hunch that afternoon because I was not happy with their decision that they made. I then went back and re-sonared to get better imagery that day. And I knew all along, this was a credible target. I told there's Pulse of that. They didn't listen. I said, I want to go back the following day. they said, you're not diving, you're not going in the water, and you're to leave, basically. So I cannot break the law. I cannot like run along and jump in the water. We had a similar incident with Ellis Downs. Now, Thames Valley Police didn't have a dive team. They didn't have a dive team. They disbanded in, I think it's 2014, 2016. Sadly, Ellis drowned. They were searching for him for 3 days, couldn't find him. They had no dive team. We were running a big contract for Surrey Fire and Rescue at the time. The family were putting appeals out in the media, and we went offered our help. And at the time, the control room said, yes, come up and help. But when we got there, on the way up, I got a phone call from the police search advisor, who, funny enough, was an ex-police diver.
Yeah.
Who'd got disbanded. He said, you are to turn around and go back. And I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to come up and I'm going to meet the superintendent. The superintendent will not talk to you. And I thought, here we go. So he said, I will meet you outside Abingdon in a car park. So when we got there, a big row ensued with the police. He said to me, I said, you don't know who we are. He said, you're not qualified, you're not authorised. I said, right, I'll get the National Crime Agency database, Joe, on the phone. Joe confirmed that we were an approved team up to counter-terrorist search as well on the police database. We were an approved team. I showed him the kit. He said, and at that stage, this was the best bit. He said, I know you are. You're SGI. I know. People like you took my job, sort of thing. We never took anyone's job. They chose to disband the dive team. We weren't even doing their diving. So it was disbanded by the Police and Crime Commissioners to save money. So he advised the superintendent that we were not to dive. He then rang the Association of Chief Police Officers Diving Committee, who said, do not use SGI. Then another phone call was made to the Met. It's all in the Ellis Downs report. It's actually on our website. Do not use SGI. So this was a clear ego issue. Now, this is about a young man laying in a river, laying in a river to be recovered. It was the family were treated appallingly by the officers there, and they were pleading with us to dive. They said no, they're not to dive. The superintendent wouldn't come down. So what was happening? The police search advisor, who was the ex-diver, was giving the superintendent false information about SGI to say we weren't qualified to do the job, which turned the superintendent against us. So we got there at 3 PM. It got till 8 o'clock at night. The family surrounded the police car, not threatening them, but in a friendly manner. And I remember Darren went up and he said, my son is in the river. If you don't let Peter and his team dive, we are going to dive in the river and get him ourselves. And at that stage, the police turned around to control and said, this is a critical incident now. Let SGI dive. We were in 40 minutes, my divers, and recovered Ellis. The following morning, the Thames Valley Police, Nikki Ross, who's lovely, it wasn't her operation, but she took the flak. She had to give a public apology to the whole world on YouTube, how badly they treated the family. A public apology. They got referred to the IPC. I gave evidence. A lot of the report was redacted. But again, that also happened recently. We went to search for little Xylo, the little 2-year-old lad.
Leicester.
Leicester. Really sad. Now, bearing in mind, this is a 2-year-old little boy, okay? The family pleaded with Leicestershire Police to let us to come up. And Leicestershire Police, I got a personal call from Nicola, the Assistant Chief Constable, and she said, Peter, you come up. I got there. I was welcomed. I had a private chat with Nicola. She's a lovely Assistant Chief Constable. She took me to a coffee. She said, I'm going to get my team, give you a full briefing. She said, I'm not interested in the Nicola Bulley nonsense, what went on. We are not Lancashire. Yeah, okay, I want you to work with us. So they briefed me fully. The Pulsar briefed me. We want the best expertise here. With all the other expertise they had all sorts of lowland rescue. Everyone was looking for this little boy. That morning, they knew we were on the way up. The National Search Advisor called Nicola and said, you are not to use SGI. Same story again. This is a 2-year-old little lad. You've got to remember this. Then the College of Policing contacted her to say, you will not use SGI, and sent her an email. You will not use SGI. And basically, she turned around to them to go and whistle. Now, bearing in mind here, this is what I say, this is happening at a very high level. They are trying to keep us out because they don't want SGI in. It's run by the Associate ACPO Dive Committee. They do not want SGI diving because they know we're good. They know we deliver results. And all those who we've worked with over the years in the police know that we get them results. Okay, then we went to search for Sebastian Sales down in Wiltshire. The police search advisor wouldn't even talk to me. Okay, we went down to the river. The inspector came down. They said, you are not to get in the river. We have got a police operation running. Although volunteers were in the river, you cannot dive. You cannot work when we're in there, and you are not diving. And again, the same old story happened here. Bearing in mind, this is a young man who's missing. They brought 2 dive teams in, which is unheard of when we arrived, because they couldn't have us finding him. That was the fact. They made us work in the dark. They said you can only work in the dark when our teams are finished. That's putting us at risk, completely us at risk. It was dark, it was cold, and now we're working on a river in the dark. We're man enough to do that. It's not a problem. We did that. We got a big floodlight on the front of our, and we were getting perfect sonar imagery. And I said, he will be in the strainer, the big log at the bottom. We need that's where he'll be, and that's where the police found him. They were searching for him for 10 days. They couldn't find him. Then they brought extra resources in when we arrived because they didn't want us finding him. That's how bad this actually is, and that's why I want this to go to the Home Affairs Select Committee, because there's a few people at a very senior level who have made very disparaging remarks against us. Again, more recently, Glenn Godfrey was missing in the reservoir in Surrey, and Amy called us in to help. We searched the land area first because it had never got searched. The police have got no resources in Surrey. They don't have a boat. They don't have anything. And they put the report out that the police officers are searching the river. They're not searching the river because they got Lowland Rescue. By the way, they do a great job, but they can't go underwater. This Glenn was missing in a reservoir. If we'd been brought in on day one, he would have been found. They had Lowland Rescue come in with a sonar, done some bits and pieces, only in one corner. They identified a couple of areas. They brought a dive team all the way up from Devon and Cornwall to dive that target when we were on the doorstep. They won't use us now after the Nicola Bulley case because at senior level, our bad names. When we were the senior investigator and officer, when they knew we were coming, said, do not use SGI. The 2 detectives on board said to Amy, you've got the best people, SGI here, because they will find him if he's there. 2 dive teams dived in the reservoir. The national water expert, she said that he would have popped up by now. 6 months later, and if Amy's listening, she'll confirm it in writing on the screen, I'd imagine. 6 months later, Glenn Godfrey's body popped up in that river, in that reservoir, badly decomposed. It's not good enough. No. And then there was another incident in Surrey. There's been 3 or 4. A gentleman fell over the side of a boat. Normally we would get called straight away to do the search, but we didn't get called. They left him in there to float up. He was identified on a sonar by Lowland Rescue. They refused to put divers in. And then I then said to the Police and Crime Commissioner in a tweet, because I know I'm not liked now, when are you going to put divers and sonar in? She said, I don't deal with publicity merchants. And silence, I don't deal with publicity merchants. She attacked me online, knowing that they haven't got divers. So that body floated up 10 days later in the River Thames, badly decomposed. So what we've got, this is what's happening. They say they've got contingencies. There's 9 underwater search units now what cover Great Britain alone. Okay, Great Britain. You've got 1 that covers the whole of Scotland, a team of 6 or 8, covers the whole of Scotland. 1 team cover the whole of Northern Ireland. And Sussex police do not even have a boat. They cover the whole of the Sussex coastline for immigration and everything. They've got no boat at all. No marine section. Gone. This is the state of the UK. So if we had a boat sink in the channel like Zeebrugge, the Marchioness disaster, or an aircraft went down, we have no immediate response to underwater search. In the College of Policing report, they state that it's on a goodwill basis. There's no on-call capability. We were the only on-call capability in the southeast, but because the Nicola Bulley case was so badly written and misleading, we got struck off. It didn't affect us financially because that's not where we earn our money, but families are now suffering across the southeast. 6 counties are now without an underwater search unit, and people, if you could look at Thames Valley now, you're finding that police are searching. No, they're not. It's the lowland rescue volunteers, and then the body is eventually found by a member of the public, not by divers.
Right. Do you know what? After you saying all of that, thank you very much. That was very, very informative. To me, I don't know what people think in the chat. It sounds like because what you do is you search and rescue. That's your job. Where
Yeah,
the police they have a multitude of things going on. They're dealing with traffic stops. They're dealing with petty crime, theft, assault, GBH. The list goes on, right? So when there's someone missing in a river, that they're spread thin,
yeah,
and their expertise isn't honed in on what you do.
yeah,
Okay, that's what you do. You do kind of one thing: search and rescue.
yeah,
So I've been thinking whilst you've been saying all that in my opinion, I always say that, right? In my opinion, it feels like you're not wanted
yeah,
because of envy, ego, pride, and jealousy.
yeah. That's what it is, and that's what gets relayed back to me. It's so interesting. So Mark Harrison used to be the National Search Advisor. I'm not going to name names who took over, but since the new recent 2 search advisors took over, we were due to search a graveyard in London, and it was for I forget his name now, a lad in Carl Shorten area, and they suspected the body was buried in a graveyard. And the Met Police came to me and said, "We would like you to search this graveyard. A weird place to search for a body, as there's plenty, but we believe a body has been potentially buried in a grave in here, on top of other graves. You've got the technical equipment and expertise to do it." And then I went to a meeting with him up in Sutton, and then he said to me, Charlie said that afternoon, he said, "I got the National Search Advisor come to see me this afternoon, and talk about it." The National Search Advisor said, "Don't use SGI." And later on, I got the Met ring me and said, "I'm really sorry, Peter, we can't use you because it's been advised by the National Search Advisor not to use you." And they never found anything. And this is happening all the time. This happened for many years when I went to search for April Jones. The same person advised the inspector not to use us, but he went against that and said, "No, I'm bringing in Peter in when we search for April Jones." So it's a regular pattern. And if there ever was a professional standards investigation, which I wish there was, all this evidence is just stacking up against these individuals because it's the same individuals who are advising. The other one is, "We're too expensive. SG don't get it, just they're really expensive." And all we were charging was £400 an hour for the whole dive team. I funded it. So we would charge the police about £3,000. You think about the inquiries, how much it costs, and because fire and rescue will only respond for the first hour and a half to 2 hours because they got to go back to fire station to man the fire engines.
Yeah.
That's not their job. They are there to rescue, and then the recovery is then handed to the police. So it's then down to them. And now with Surrey, they don't have a dive unit. They have to call in the Met. And the nearest, if you look across the southeast, I'll read it off quickly, but Kent, Essex, Surrey, Sussex, Thames Valley, Hampshire, Wiltshire, Dorset, Gloucestershire, Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Thames, West Mercia, West Midlands Police, all the way up to Nottingham, there's no dive units. That's how bare it is. And if you look on the website again, you'll see the map of the dive units. But no one acknowledges, no one cares until we actually get a major incident happen. And then it'll be another Grenfell Tower because, lessons will be learned. But then millions of pounds in public inquiry, which no one ever learns from, and the same old story gets put out that we've learnt lessons, it won't happen again. Well, Thames Valley learnt their lessons with Ellis when Ellis went missing, and then now we don't serve Thames Valley, so now they've got no dive unit. They say they've got contingencies, but they'll get called in. They're called in a unit from Avon and Somerset. We might not be available because I know the team down there. Shocking.
Yeah, shocking. That's a good point to end that particular particular thread. Thank you, Pete. Right. The next thing I want to ask you, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions, and then going to give you the old microphone. I just want to say, a couple of people that I know personally are in here. Hello to you guys. They know who they are, friends of mine. Right. Sorry, I've done that. Right, Pete.
Yeah.
Do you think that the investigation needs to be reopened now that the sonar imagery has been verified? Right, just bear with me 1 second, right? Because I don't know what your answer is, but right, if this, and I'll say that word loud and clear, if this is some form of corruption, then I don't understand how it could be reopened, as it would naturally have to be the same police force because of the area. You can't have Manchester police going into Lancashire, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So so if it is some form of corruption, then how could it be reopened as same police force would have to do it, and that wouldn't obviously wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is this maybe a job now for? Well, firstly, do you think it should be opened? And then, is this maybe a job for senior police forces? Maybe a job for Scotland Yard government to step in?
Yeah, I think so. I think what it needs, what this needs, is those responsible who compiled the report, who instructed the report, who authored the report, presented it, and the unnamed sonar experts to be brought before the Home Affairs Select Committee. Now, that's chaired by a Conservative MP and a number of Labour MPs as well. And they don't take prisoners. And they will question, they will give all them a questions. Why did you not use the data? Even if it wasn't Nicola, you could say that. Even if it wasn't Nicola, they never looked at the data. They've suppressed the evidence from the public. My sonar data, it was never went public. It's never been mentioned. So it needs to be. That's, excuse me. My view is
Excuse me,
it's all
my
right.
eyes.
It's all right having all these public inquiries. I've been driving all day, public inquiries, but lawyers, it costs an absolute fortune. And in the end, you just get a report done. We're going to, like Manchester Arena, we've learned lessons. No, what it needs is a short, sharp, call them before the committee to answer the questions. And if they've deliberately misled the public, then they face the consequences. Now, there's a new Hillsborough law coming in, which prevents corruption and misleading reports being done, and which means you face the full brunt of the law. Now, if I lied in a court of law on oath and I falsified a report, I could go to jail for a number of years for perverting the course of justice. But
that's a really important thing there. I want to go more into that. So, all your claims that you've made for publicly since November the 21st. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was with Martin Brunt, then it was on my channel, November the 21st. We're getting on for 2 years.
Yeah.
So all these claims for 2 years and all everything you've done and what you've just recently done.
Yeah.
If you are found, if there is any way to prove that you are lying, you could face prison time.
Absolutely.
Why? So of course, of course, you're not being deceptive, in my opinion.
I've always said I will go to any court of law, swear on the Bible. I will not. I would give oath. Like I said, every interview we've done, I don't actually need to rehearse it. I've got no script. I can turn the camera now. It's just my motorhome. I've got no notes here. As you can see, I'm just reading from my iPhone at the moment. I'm just looking at you on the iPhone, and I've got nothing to hide at all. And that's why I want to go in front of the Home Affairs Select Committee. I want to present my evidence. I want to do that. I want to go there, but Lancashire Police have said no comment when they were questioned by the Daily Mail. The College of Policemen said refer to our report. It's not good enough. We can't let this go. It's a bit like the Hillsborough disaster, the grooming gang scandal. It's like Horizon scandal. Alan Bates, now Sir Alan Bates, he kept hammering them. People were covering it over. It was only when it come out then heads started to roll. People started to resign. People started to lose their damehoods, etc. They've all gone. They've all been brushed away. But no one faced any charges. But the people who got the blame for fiddling the money in the post office counter workers went to jail, and people committed suicide through it. Now I'm strong, and I can deal with the flack. It makes me stronger. But a lot of people wouldn't have dealt with this.
Yeah,
they would not be able to deal with it. But
yeah,
I'm determined to get the truth out there for Nicola and her family, and the other families like Amy and the Downs family who have suffered through total incompetence over the years. And all I want is to make things better. I don't want publicity. I don't earn any money out of this. We never lost any money for, like I said, we charge £400 now to keep the dive unit on the run. Just to service our equipment has to go off to Interspiro, all the testing, all the dry suits to be maintained, the training cost me a fortune. We never made that money back. So it was me who was funding that. And it was a perfect model which worked in harmony with the police. You know, the Walton the murders that we've worked on, and we've recovered the evidence. There's enough documentaries about it. We were proven. And we got sidelined because of false reports that made me look bad and the company made us look like a bunch of amateurs who went there for the publicity. And it was absolutely shocking the way we got treated.
I know you're not, because I don't, not just you, the whole team, because I met all, well, not all, but I met a good half dozen, no, about 10 of your team, and absolute, from what I saw, absolute professionals. Very. What I will say to the audience now is when I went to SGI, friendly, nice guys. Very. What's the word? It's not. Sorry, I'm just grabbing my water. They were very honed in and zoned into what they are doing, with the training that they were doing, with the the drills that they were doing, and they're very serious guys. A lot of them are ex-military and stuff like that, aren't they? And whatnot. So I just want to say that I've met that team. I've seen the whole, all the premises and the actual sonar. Everyone's well. If you've not seen the documentary that I did at SGI, I'll actually add that link in as well. I went to SGI and I spent the day there. That was very, very, very fascinating. Pete, you said you want to raise this higher, so it leads me into my next question. Just one more time, don't forget, anyone that's new, please hit like on the way in, leave a comment, share, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, then please consider doing so. Right, Peter, in your statement, you did a few cheeky hashtags and whatnot, and hashtagged some people in. Has the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister made any contact with you after you tagged them in your statement?
No, I mean, I put it on Twitter on my X feed this week. I've tagged in the Prime Minister, I've tagged in the Home Secretary, I've tagged the Home Affairs Select Committee. No reply, nothing. And that's, to be honest, that's what I'm expecting, and that's why the public have lost the trust of authority now, because we've got there just appears at the moment, and this is across. I mean, if you look last night, there was a panorama program on the Metropolitan Police last night, not good for them. It's a lot of the senior leaders are just not up to the job. They're not leading from the front. And I see it all the time of senior leaders putting pictures of themselves all over LinkedIn at conferences after conferences and conference. And the police on the bottom line have just had enough. They just want support, because a lot of the senior leaders now being promoted through the police force with zero operational experience. And it's not good enough. So you're getting people advise the senior leaders about maybe us on a job and say, don't use SGI. I go, yeah, I won't. Okay, I won't use SGI. But they know full well that they've just lost the family the potential of finding that person. We need decision makers in this country. People are going to actually make firm decisions. If I was the PM, I would be instructing now that then police get held to account, get them before the Home Affairs Committee in the next couple of weeks, stand them up and question them. And if they can't answer them questions properly and honestly, then they're fired. End of. They're out the job. They are out. They should not be serving, because that report, whoever, and we know, I'm not going to name names, they know they've compiled a report that's false. They are not fit to serve the public in this country. They are not fit to serve, and they should be sacked. I've got nothing to hide in this, and I'll tell you, I've got some backing of some very senior people in this country who support me. You know, I go to London, I meet up with people, and they've had enough. Senior military officers as well, who've actually have enough of this. The way things are being done these days, it's not acceptable. This needs to be brought in the open, prove the point, get rid of the dross, and get some new people in there who can lead the police properly. Okay.
I think this video is really, really, really valuable. We've done a couple, and after what you've released this week, I really wanted this video to be an opportunity to really get into the nitty gritty and explain things that have confused people and that have had people scratching their heads. And I think that you're doing that right now. Okay, Pete. I'm going to ask you a question now, obviously, as is an interview. Right. Now, do you think that you made any mistakes in your search for Nicola Bulley? And is there anything that you would have done differently in hindsight?
Right. The only thing I would have done differently is not spoke to the media. That was my mistake, and I happily admit that. But I also want to go a bit on my side here. Now, I know a lot of media, and I'll be fair to the media. They were very polite to me. So I arrived that morning. I was surrounded by media. I asked the police search advisor, can you please get me a press officer down? Because you would normally, on a job like that, I never speak to the media on a job like that. Any job we do, when a body is found, the police will put out a statement. Divers from Specialist Group International this afternoon recovered a body working alongside them, and that's it. We won't speak to the media. He said there's none available, and I said, well, I can't handle this on my own. He said, well, not my problem. I said, could I speak to the senior investigating officer? She said she doesn't want to talk to you. That was Rebecca Smith.
That's very bizarre.
So never had that happen, because I go into some very, very sensitive briefings on all sorts of work over the years. I'm used to working at a high level, and again, so I was left with the media on my own. And what I didn't want to be this, when I'm very personable, and I know a lot of them, and they come up to me, Peter, so what's happening? I'm not saying no comment, no comment, no comment, because they think you're arrogant. I don't want to be like that. And I just tried to give them a bit of an update, because the police were not given any updates. Everyone was, and it's even acknowledged in the report from a senior news editor who said that on the day that the family were given their own updates by the bench, family friend, because the Lancashire police did not have a press officer on site. You can't do it on an operation like that. And they got it badly wrong. So I became the face of the media, and I can see now what was happening. My team said to me, you can see what's happening here. And then they hung me out to dry.
I could see that. I said you were the face of the case.
Yeah, I was. And my name in that report, when the College of Police and Review was published, they said they'd give me fair notice of when it was being published, so I could make any adjustments if I thought was unfair. I kept emailing them, say, when is the review out? Because I need to know. At 2:45 in the afternoon, very clever time to send it to me, when the report had already been written and published, ready to go. They sent me a copy, embargoed, and it was given to the world at 10 a.m. the following morning. So I had no right to reply. That goes against their principles totally. So I've got the emails. They're actually in the Nicola Bulley page on our website, Specialist Group International. The copy pasted it. I've taken the emails out for confidentiality because otherwise people will end up emailing the police. So it's all there, but I've got the originals, and that's what they did to me. And they named me 58 times personally in the review. They named my company, Specialist Group International, 30 times. Not one police officer was named anywhere. And this was a report which was designed to investigate or review Lancashire's handling of the whole case. And they laid everything on me. And they said I may be criticised, not by us. I was destroyed in that report completely. That is so unfair. And that's what Doug said. So I've suffered, irreparable international damage to my reputation that I've built up over all the years. And I wrote my book. My book is full of cases that I've done. I don't lie. You don't get to publish a book with Pam Macmillan. It goes through all the legal channels and cross checks. Everything I've said that in that book and all the cases that I've worked on, and I've got all the references are there. That's what people forget. I've got all the written letters from police, and my office is full of police shields at work, where I've been out to the White House, I've been to the FBI, I lectured at the National Search Centres, I've been around, and a lot of these young people now at Police Search Advice, they've got no idea what I've done. So it's easy to badmouth me, but Pete, they don't know what I've done.
Pete, I was thinking, I thought this way back when, and it's why back when this case was live, why I made a video about the inquest and why I put a message of support out to you. I look at things like sideways on, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I really get my head stuck into things, and I spend a lot of time thinking before I then come up with a theory or an idea. Now, because there was no one looking after the press, and you were speaking to the press, what if, again, I'm going to use language carefully, what if you were allowed and left to do the press, maybe even encouraged, let's leave him with the press, let's leave him with the press, because you were saying there's no sign of her in the river. If there is corruption here, and there was knowledge from the authorities that she was, because of what you said, then when it comes out down the line on the 19th that she's been found, and you've been doing all the media, who is everybody gonna think of straight away?
Me.
You.
That's right. So that's exactly what happened.
He said that if she was in the river, he'd find her. He said there's no sign of her, and you are the face of the case, and you're the one that people remember.
Well, that's
I saw through that BS.
Yeah, exactly. And I was being set up, and again, a friend of mine is a chief. He said, "You've been set up. You've been completely set up here to take the full brunt. So all the blame is shifted on you." And that's exactly what happened. I had the blame shifted on me, and it's just not the way to behave. And again, it's so interesting that when Nicola was found the days before, Lancashire Police referred themselves to the IOPC. Within a few days later, I was suspended from the National Crime Agency database that was leaked to the Times newspaper by a law enforcement source, and experts struck off. I mean, nobody else knew, only me. I kept that quiet, and I was taken off a database that I'd been on since 2001, and in the report they said I'd been on there since 2008. They wiped off a lot of my time because these people don't even know, because it never used to be the National Crime Agency. It used to be the National Operations Faculty, then National Crime and Operations Faculty, then the Serious Organised Crime. I've got certificates from the Serious Organised Crime Agency of my work to detect human remains, missing people. I've got paperwork, certificates and everything to cite the work that I've done for training detectives and being on operations for these people to actually locate buried drugs, buried human remains, are highly regarded in that field. You know, we got the technology and expertise. Yet I was just I had my legs chopped off overnight by not even a meeting, not even nothing, just a direct, blunt, firm. When we were struck off from Surrey Police, I got an email from a guy I've never even heard of, and he just said, we're no longer going to use your sort of thing, thanks for your work in the past. Not even the chief officer coming to me and say, Peter, we need to sit down and have a discussion here. That's what I would have expected, and that's what I'm saying. The weak leaders, they can't face up to people. I will go in front of anybody and I will defend my corner, but these weak people are hiding behind paperwork. They haven't got the guts to go in front of anybody and face them. I mean, Steve Fulcher, if you look at Wiltshire Police, he was, when the two ladies were murdered in Wiltshire, I worked on that with Graham's Copestake, the Pulsar. Police, the Shana O'Callaghan, I worked on that looking for human remains in a field. Steve Fulcher caught the murderer. He took the actual murderer to the where he buried. He got him to show where he buried the two ladies, and he because he broke protocol, because he didn't do it the right way, he got hung out to dry by the chief officer and sacked. He solved the crime. That's what we're living with in this country. We are so woke now. We're actually living with a culture of blame. It's a blame culture because the senior officers are a lot. I'm not saying all senior officers. There's a lot of very good ones out there, but some of them are so weak they're frightened of their own shadow, and that's the problem. They're not tough enough to stand up to criticism. So what they do, they shift the blame onto somebody else, so they take the full flag. And if any of you are watching tonight, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and think, actually, maybe this guy's right.
Well,
Maybe we do.
550 right now.
Yeah.
So and it's very, very, very supportive in here.
Can I have a bathroom? Can I have a bathroom break? I've been drinking fluids all day, and 2 minutes. I'll go to my
press mute on your phone.
I will do. Where's that at the bottom?
It's a microphone.
Oh, where?
I'll just leave it. It's all right. We didn't hear you last time.
Oh, no, you're not going to hear me. Go to my bathroom. Hang on.
So, guys, again, don't forget, hit that like button. How are you finding this live interview so far? Anyone that's just arrived, if you have just arrived, I'm not just talking to a chair. That'll be weird. It's a nice chair, though, isn't it? Pete's gone to the toilet. So yeah, I hope everyone's finding this interview, this chat, very interesting. I've got one more question, and then I'm going to hand over the microphone to MC Peter Faulding. Yeah, I've just got one more question, but I hope that I've really tried to ask the questions that I think that the public would. I'm never going to ask every question that people have on their minds, but I hope I've asked the questions that a lot of you want. If anyone's just arrived, Peter Faulding's just gone to the toilet, and I think he's on his way back. I can hear him. Right, quick, change the subject. Change subjects.
Just get my water. I'll just top my water up in the sink. Bear with me.
Yeah.
I say what I love about Switzerland is there's no litter. Comes through France over the last few days. Switzerland and France, no litter at all anywhere. You just can't see people leave their bikes outside shops. There's no chains on them. I'm parked up in the Alps tonight in a car park, and it's for motorhomes. Two Swiss francs for the whole night.
You can't moan. I spent my childhood in France camping.
Beautiful.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
So
good memories.
I'm kipping here tonight anyway in my truck. So there you go.
Hey Pete, anyway. I've got one question for you, and then I'm going to give you the microphone.
Yeah.
To just then you can lead it. I've got the College of Policing report available. I've got your statement available.
Okay. Yeah.
So final question from myself. And like I said, I hope that I've asked. I hope that the Alexa, don't get involved. Sorry. Very, 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 very cheeky of her. Right. So, right. Serious. Right. So, a final question here. What impact has this whole 2.5 year experience had on you personally, Peter?
Well, I've said before, I don't suffer from mental health problems. I'm not an angry person. I'm not it's not had an effect on my direct family relationships or anything because my wife's very supportive. So, but we talk about it a lot, especially over the last couple of weeks because we've been away. We've actually been away in France with my daughter, and we've been doing some, touring around and mountain biking and stuff. And I say, and now I'm off to another country, and we've had to release this statement. We've had to work in the motorhome, finishing this statement, emailing it back to the office to get PDF'd and take legal advice, etc., before we put it out there. Make sure it wasn't defamatory. Obviously, the College of Policing's the report against me is extremely defamatory because it's completely misleading, whereas mine is full of fact. Personally, it's not affected my business, only the diving side, which we never made any money on anyway. So that wasn't profitable. That was a service to the public, which we provided. So it's had a huge impact on the families now left without a dive cover. So if you had a car go, say, in a river in Surrey or Sussex, and there was a child trapped in an air pocket underneath, and what you got to realise is the fire and rescue service, who are brilliant, I've got the greatest admiration for, do not have divers anywhere in the country. So there's no dive unit available. So we were the only dive unit. Or if a coach went in, there was people, a sunken canal boat. So they've now got no capability, or a sunken boat somewhere, sunken river barge. There is no capability in the southeast apart from the Met. And the Met divers will say they're not a rapid response team. They've got other jobs to do. They're searching drains. They're doing other stuff during the day for raw visits where they have to lift drains up and check down drains for bombs and things like this. So there is no rapid. So if the Met were busy and something happened, the nearest unit is Avon and Somerset down in Bristol. And they're a part-time unit. They're not a full-time unit. So they might be on other jobs. So that's how bad this really is. So it's affecting families. And what will happen, there will be other people drowned. And we're constantly getting contacted by grieving families say, can you please help us? Because the police haven't got any resources. And that's it. And yeah, it's so, am I okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, but I'm a very determined person. I run a multi-million-pound business, so I'm not going to let them destroy my reputation at all. I will come out fighting, and I will. I'm working with a legal team at the moment. I'm not going to let this drop. But I want the public. Lots of people say, why don't you just keep it under wraps and write to the Prime Minister? Because my name has been tarnished. If I write privately, then everybody will see, my grandsons will see me as the guy who failed, who never found Nicola Bulley and things like that. And that's that name I got tarnished with. So the only way I'm going to clear that is to get the relevant information out into the public eye so the world actually knows. And this week the media's been all around. Obviously, the Mail done a big article, and again, I never received any money for that. I wouldn't take any money. I'm not about that. They never offered me money. I just want the truth out there. We were hoping that it would have been picked up by a couple of media outlets but the Labour Party conference was on, so that swallowed the media up, and there you got things like that. So it's going to be a lot of pushing, but obviously with legal steps, etc., eventually it will come out. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. I want to say to the audience, put a love art in the chat if you have understood and learned a lot more about the whole case and Peter's involvement and everything that he said for the past 2 years. If you've learned a lot more and understood, put all of that in the chat, please. And I want to see if this has helped people to understand. So let's just see that you can see those going up. You got some gold hearts, got some gold and some red hearts. So there's a lot coming through. Yeah, you see the chat, can't you, Pete?
Well, I can't quite see it without my glasses, but I'll be squinting because it's over here.
There's loads of just
Tiny print.
look at the red bit. That's the
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's loads. So yeah, thank you. And I hope that I've asked. We're going to move on to the next section. I hope I've asked the questions that you would want to ask. Like I said, I can't go around the whole of the country going, "Do you have a question? Would you like me to ask for Peter Faulding?" Do you know what I mean? So I hope I've done. Hope I've done you guys proud with my questions there. Peter Faulding, the stage is yours to do with as you wish. I'm following you now. The COB report's there. Your statement's there.
Okay.
On you. You're the host.
Well, I think it's probably easier if I take you sort of back to the beginning and how this all happened and the, I think so. Friday, those of you know, I had my book published on Friday. I think it was the second, third, fourth, fifth, the Thursday the 2nd. We had a book launch at Denby's Vineyard. And just to let you know, on Friday evening, those of you who don't know, I'm doing a live chat with Debbie Davis, the psychic medium, Real Housewives of Cheshire, etc. Is a very good friend of mine. So Debbie's invited me for a chat, and Luke won't mind. He knows her. So just having to go on to do a similar sort of chat on a Friday night, really.
Pete, where can people view that? Is it
go on
Facebook?
Deborah Davis. So we're doing a 7 o'clock chat like this on Facebook. Deborah
Facebook,
Davis.
okay.
Deborah Davis, psychic medium. And then we're doing that Friday, and then straight after that, I think we're having a half-hour break, and then we'll go tomorrow night, and then we're going straight into a TikTok. I don't understand TikTok too much, but we're doing a TikTok thing as well, live, I think.
Send me a link, Pete, privately afterwards. Send me the link to Debbie's, and I'll put it on a community post.
Thanks, Luke. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, so we're doing that. So we had the book launch, and Debbie came along, and Alan Carr, my neighbour, he came along, and Alan Carr, chatty man. Yeah, so Alan jumped up on the stage and took over and had a bit of fun, and it was good. So it was a really good event. And then anyway, the following day, I went to Sky News because they were asking me about Nicola Bulley. And again, I'll make it clear, I don't get paid for these TV appearances. I don't get any money for that. They just asked me to go on and have a chat. I've known the reporters for years, like Martin Brunt, and I went on and said, it's very strange that she's just disappeared in a benign river. And then on the Sunday, I got the call from Paul. I need to take you through his chain of events.
Yeah.
So on the Monday, I got Sunday, I got the call in the morning from Paul Ansell, clearly distraught. And then later on, Emma called me and said, they said, how much money do you want? I said, I don't want money. We'll do it for nothing. If you can just put us up. Emma agreed to put the lads up at the farm, my team. I paid for my own hotel because there was only 4 rooms. I said, that's okay. I'll pay for my own hotel down the road. Team went up by vehicle. I flew the helicopter up, landed at Emma's farm. I got greeted by the police search advisor, family liaison officer, and Lee from my team, who once I had a quick chat, it wasn't a briefing, it was a quick chat with them. And then I drove to the site, and Lee said, media everywhere. And I got there, and all the cameras come out, and they videoed me walking to the command center, a big red truck. I went inside and shut the screens down because I just wanted some privacy with my team to brief them. And I spoke to the search advisor outside, and he said, I want you to go downriver. I want you to go down the river from the weir down, because I believe she's gone over the weir. That's where we're focusing. And as Dave from the Sun newspaper come up to me and said, photojournalist, he said, do you know what, Peter, there's been nothing going on before you arrived for the last few days. It's been dead. Not seen anyone around. And I thought, that's really odd. No search activity was being seen around the area.
Yeah.
Now that's really odd. So anyway, I said to the pulser, I want to go to the hot zone. I really want to start. He said, no, we've done that. You don't need to search that area. I just want you going downriver, because they didn't want us there anyway. So I'm not working for him, but he's tasking us. So as I climbed down the riverbank, followed by the media. There was no cordons. I'd already asked him for a press officer. We've had that discussion. No press officer available. And I looked at the team across. You see a picture of me in the report where I looked across, climbing down the bank. These are media pictures, and the weir was there. And I said to the team, it's too shallow for Nicola to have got over that weir, even with another few inches of water on top. And he said to me, on the day it was about 6 inches higher, the water, which is still nothing. On the day she went missing, that's nothing. So as we started to go down the river, I said this before, the water was so shallow, we could see the bottom. We had to lift the engine up in places. We sonar the areas where it was deep enough. The rest we could see, the reeds. And we got to Cartford Bridge, pulled the boat out, and there was nothing. And I just said, she's not here. There's no way she could have got down here anyway on this earth. And if she's in the reeds, she'd be found by sniffer dogs, drone, search and rescue, lowland rescue. But there was no other activity apart from us searching that day. Now, as we were going down the river, it was so interesting. We were going down the river, and there's a couple of young lads come over, I don't know, in their 18s, and they said, good luck, and he said, we're trying our best. We've come down from Liverpool or somewhere like that. I think it was Liverpool, Blackpool, to try and help the search. And there was 2 police officers walking along in their body armor. And then they shouted at these kids and said, oi, get away from the river. I thought, it's not the way you talk to people. It's not the way you talk to people. You talk to them nicely. They're trying to help. And I said to them, they're just trying to help. Well, they shouldn't be near the river. So, okay. These weren't search officers. They were just wearing body armor. They were just, there was no search activity going on. That'd be confirmed by the media. There was nothing going on. So we got to the bank. We got our boat out that day. And I said to the team, right, we'll see what we're doing tomorrow. So the pulsar, he wasn't going to be, one of the days he wasn't going to be there. He said, tomorrow morning, and I've got the WhatsApps to prove it, I want you to go from the bench up to Rowan Water, which is the caravan park. And I said, well, we really want to go in the hot zone, the area from the bench down to the weir where Nicola, he said, I don't want you searching that area. That's been done by us and everybody else. Don't need to do it. And I thought, this is really odd. So anyway, we got our boat in at Rowan Water that morning. And there's aerial pictures actually taken by media drones in my report to prove we were there at Rowan Water. So we launched the boat up there. And then as we went down the river, I said to the team, I said, right, police have gone. Not normally like this. Take me to the hot zone. There was no police around. They'd all disappeared. There was only a pulsar there. No other officers around. There's no sight of any police at all. You can even see it in the aerial shots where a truck, just the pulsar's truck there. There was nothing going on. And the divers I didn't see. They'd gone. They were apparently down by the sea. Anyway, they took me down the river. And I said, take Dolly and Chris, take me down to the bottom corner, and we'll try and go up to the weir. Anyway, the weir was too shallow, so we started at the bottom corner. I tuned the sonar in, and I started getting some really good images. We've done a couple of floating around, and then take me up to the bench, and we'll turn around. So that's at 10:26, I think, 10:26, 20. We started our scan, so we went up the river. We come to the bench. We've done a U-turn in the bench. Now on the way up, just up by the island, I got a shape, but I could see something there, but it wasn't a good enough image to properly, in other words, so I had to move the boat across a bit. So I put a marker on the software, again, can be verified because all the software is time date stamped. So, and it's geo-referenced from satellites, so it can't be changed, can't be edited. It's open for verification to any computer expert. You cannot change it. So we went up to the bench and I put a marker where I saw the target, and I come back down, and lo and behold, I got this big pair of arms. And I said, I think I found it, to the team. And I stopped the boat, and any media were looking, they would see we stopped the boat, and they were looking at the screen, and the team agreed. And I then said, right, let's do that again. So let's scan this area. We didn't go to the bench. We went back around the area to try and get some better scans. 10:53, I made the phone call and the WhatsApp, and I said, I think I found Nicola. And I said, we need to put a diver in now. He said, you are not to dive. We will dive. You are not to dive. He made it very, very clear.
Is that unusual?
Yeah, it's very unusual. It was a very, very clear, we will dive. And so I said, okay. So what we did, we just got a few more images, carried on. And then a couple of hours later, because they were somewhere else, the dive team arrived. So the supervisor walked over, and there was another guy who really didn't want to talk to me. But the supervisor was fine. He was friendly enough, and he chatted. And John, my supervisor, is a former police diver from Sussex Police. So we all got together and had a chat. He said, what have you got? I said, showed him the shadows. He said, okay. Didn't say they'd searched it or anything. They just said, okay, thanks for that. Then the police then they started bringing their equipment down. They all got in a closed huddle, chatting between themselves. And I can imagine what the conversation would have been. And they then they got ready to dive. Now, what I'd done, I put a stick in the bank to mark the rough area. Now, this is another thing what's come out in the College of Policing report. They said in the College of Policing report that the SGI provided us GPS coordinates of the target, and it matched up with ours. Well, firstly, I never gave them any GPS coordinates. So the only time I gave them a GPS fix was on the 27th of October, when I sent them a letter. A copy of the letter is actually in the Nicola Bulley file, by the way, to be seen. And that gave the GPS reference. Now, GPS reference, firstly, if you're on a riverbank, you never provide a GPS because that's latitude, longitude, and it's in degrees, minutes, and seconds. People don't even know how to translate it. So you work in either what 3 words or Ordnance Survey grid references, what we would use. But that will only go down to either sort of 10 meters, 100 meters, 6-figure grid references, and it goes down and down. Depends how many figures you use. We wouldn't do that. We'll always put a marker in the water, like a float. But we didn't want to put a float in the water because that would have alerted the media that we found something. Yeah. So I put a discrete stick, and it's marked. It's actually Doug's video, but you can actually see it in my report. So that was another misleading statement. So that we never gave them GPS coordinates. That was only, and they've misled. So they said they used the same GPS coordinates at the inquest. They never had them. They use the same GPS coordinates at the, on the dive, etc., and in the College of Policing report. So that's completely misleading and wrong. Now, they then dived the target. That was a very, very short dive. My guy Lee called it a chip shop dive. I don't know that slang, but he called it a chip shop dive. So it was a very, very brief, quick dive.
Doesn't sound like a compliment, put it that way.
No, it wasn't a compliment. The diver went in, wasn't in there long, come back out. I'd gone upriver, said there was nothing there. So that's when, again, I got relayed that information that there was nothing there. That's when I gave my famous statement to say, I don't believe Nicola's in the river because a police officer just told me there's nothing there. So I've got to believe him. But that's why I was unsure. And that's when I went back later on. So the following morning, I came back to meet the pulsar to say we are going to dive that area again because he was back. He wasn't there the day before. We are going to dive. We want to put a diver in at the weir and search upriver. And bearing in mind, it's very shallow at the weir, so we knew it would be a wade search initially, then it would lead to a dive search. That was refused, completely refused. And we knew at that stage there was something wrong. And then I met a family friend. I'm not going to name the names, but I met a family friend up there, their family friend. I said, what was the river like on the day? Because I need to know, because we went over to the bench and I threw a stick in and I looked down and there's a rock shelf there. Now, if you look at PC Thackeray's video, as he climbs down the bank, you can see a big rock shelf. Yeah. Now, they said in the College of Policing report that the water in front of the bench was 4.6 meters deep. 4.6 meters. Yeah, exactly. So it may have been out in the middle, But if Nicola had fallen down that bank, she would have landed at the time in probably about, let's be generous, shall we, about 16 inches of water, which she would have stood up if she was conscious. Okay. Impossible to get washed away in that. Now, drowning victims always go to the bottom. So if she had been fallen in at that bench, firstly, she would have landed rocks. If she was pushed hard or thrown in, she would have gone into the water in the middle, the deeper water, and she would have been found at that location
Can
without
I
fail.
just quickly say, sorry, that when
Yeah,
I went, if anyone's not aware, I went to St Michael's myself because I really wanted to look around and investigate the area and all that kind of stuff. And I did it 2 years on because I
yeah,
wanted the same season, the same time of year. The water was deeper and faster moving on that day because there'd been a lot of rain
oh yeah,
uh, in previously in recent to when I was there.
yeah,
Now there's a video of me at right where she allegedly
yeah,
went in,
yeah,
and I put a stick. I show you the stick, and then I put
yeah,
a stick in the water where she went in, and even with all the extra water,
yeah,
it's not that deep. If anyone wants to see that video, it's we're not going to talk about it on this because this is about your story and what you've come out with this week. But if anybody wants to see my theory on what I think happened to Nicola Bulley, go on to the playlist, Nicola Bulley case playlist. I went there. I spent hours and hours there, and yeah, like I said, I put the stick in the water, and it's not deep, and that was when it had more water. So when you were there,
yeah. It was, well,
very shallow.
I threw the stick in on the 7th. On the 8th, sorry, apologise, on the 8th, on the last day, because again, the College of Policing report said that on the 9th of February, Peter Faulding requested a photo opportunity with the chief officer. Now, I would never do that. I'm not a selfie kind of person. I say I'm not Tom Cruise, so it's like, I'm not going to want to. I don't do selfies as such. And the only pictures I see might me and my mum maybe or whatever, me and my dog. But apart from that, so I think I had a chat with a family on the 8th, and they were concerned that none of the inside our command vehicle with the family liaison officer, that none of the sheds were being searched in the village. Let me reiterate, none of the sheds have been searched in the village. And the police turned around and said, we need a search warrant to do that. The FLO did. I said,
Mm.
you don't need a search warrant. You just need to ask. Because when there's a missing lady, I've been in multiple searches, especially Sarah Benford in Northamptonshire. You just knock on the door and say, would you mind if we look in your shed? We're looking for a missing girl. Anyone without a problem would go, if that was my house, I'd say, of course you can. Please come in and have a look. We're looking for a missing young girl. So the family were very concerned about what was actually going on that particular stage. And what I said to Paul, I said, you need to get a senior officer down here so you can talk to them. And I relayed that to the pulsar, and I said, a senior officer needs to come down and brief this family. That was turned around to me wanting a photo opportunity on the 9th, when actually on the 9th I was flying home. I wasn't even there. So again, totally misleading statement trying to discredit me within the report. I wasn't there on the 9th. My aviation software's time date stamped of the route back exactly where I was. I was at Emma White's farm in the morning where I was talking to Paul and Emma, having a coffee before I flew home. I never went near the site because we were asked to leave on the 8th. So that was misleading. So anyway, back to the other point of the other thing that the pulsar said to me. He said, the reason I want you to go upriver from the bench is that area has not been searched. That area in 10 days from the bench up to Rome Water had not been searched. Unbelievable. Now, the hypothesis that she went in by the bench, like Doug said, that could have been crime scene staged. I always said that could have been a decoy. That could have been laid there on that bench by
Mm.
somebody. There could have been a third party, and I'm not going to go down that route, but there's nothing to rule out a third party. Okay, nothing at all. There's no evidence. The area wasn't sealed off a crime scene. In the report, it said the pulsar decided there was no need to seal it off. There was no forensic evidence. What a load of nonsense. And that was agreed by the SIO. you always seal off a crime scene if there's
Yeah.
a woman going missing. So everybody was sitting on the bench, tramps in the beach. There could have been trace fibers on that bench. There could have been touch evidence, DNA on Nicola's phone from a third party. We don't know that. We don't know if anyone was involved or not. But the thing is, they missed so much opportunity, and not searching that length of river up to Ryan Park water was unbelievable. So that was that bit. So it started to go on from there. So anyway, we were asked to go home. So that's when I threw the stick in. Now, whilst I was walking around with a member of my team and the family friend, I walked through the woods because I'm looking around thinking, well, she's not in the river. You know, the police diver said, I'm not happy with this at the moment. I'm thinking, I didn't trust anybody, and I wanted to search to around the area to see if there was any signs of evidence buried or something that could have been found. So I'm walking through the woods and I saw a tree stump, and I was really annoyed at this stage because I was walking around thinking, I want to get in this river and I can't. I'm being told to go. I've been told to leave. And then I saw this tree stump with these reeds in front of it. And I said to Lee, that's something's not right there. So I scraped the reeds away because they come from the river and this was inland slightly. And then I found the area had been disturbed under it. Now, the area was only about a foot square and it's in my report. So I scraped it away, the soil, and I followed the cut marks because it had been previously cut. I followed the cut marks down. And as Lucy Syburn, the forensic archaeologist, will back me up, and work with her. And I was just following natural cut marks down, and then the police inspector attached to the underwater search unit come across and said, what are you doing? I said, I found some disturbed ground, it needs investigation. He said, fill it back in and walk away. I said, well, it actually needs recording. Are you not going to make a note? We'll deal with that later. Fill it in and walk away. And he just walked off. Now, I knew the minute he said that, I knew that something wasn't right in Lancashire. We weren't wanted. They didn't want us in the hot zone. Someone knew something somewhere. And my team said, there is something not right in this whole case. Something stinks here. Something is going on. And I could never put my finger on exactly what the problem was, but something was badly wrong. And then it became very evident a few days later when I got struck off the National Crime Agency, and then it got leaked to the paper. And then I thought, I'm going to be invited to the inquest. And that was the other question someone said to me. He said, you know, if you knew that was a body, why didn't you jump in the river? We can't. I would have been arrested. I would have been arrested if I tried to jump in the river. And the headline would be Faulding arrested at crime, you know, at scene. And again, the digging bit, it wasn't even a crime scene. It was
Yeah.
not even taped off. There was no forensics there. They just walked away. I'd done it carefully with gloves on and made sure that I never done anything wrong, that I was just highlighting that to the police. That was it. So that's another problem. And then what was the other one? There was the I signed the NDA. They said I signed an NDA.
That's not
They
true, is it?
I never signed an NDA. So the NDA didn't exist. It was a piece of paper, and I signed it on the side of the truck, again witnessed by my team. He gave me that. He said, you're responsible for your own health and safety, your own equipment, etc., etc. Sign there. And he said, I will give you a copy. Never had a copy. The College of Policing could not give me a copy. We asked for it when I went to London. They could not give me a copy of it, but they carried on writing about it in the report without even verifying it. So that went on. So we then went to the few months went by, whatever the months was, and then the inquest come up. I thought, I'm going to be invited to the inquest because I'm going to literally present my evidence. Wasn't invited to the inquest. And when PC Thackeray done the video, he never even mentioned when he got to the island. I would have done and gone. He said that SGI should have said that SGI located a target here. We dived it and it was proved negative. Okay, there was nothing there. So they always said there was, but he never mentioned it in the reconstruction. Very odd, that, isn't it? That he didn't mention it in the reconstruction. Why wouldn't he? They
Is
didn't
that the
want to
same
work.
reconstruction where he's got a wet or a dry suit
Yeah,
or
floating.
a
So
life jacket on?
yeah, so he's representing a dead body floating
And his
down the
air's
river.
full of his
That's
lungs
right.
are full of air.
Well, he's in a diver's suit. He's got a GoPro camera, which is one-dimensional, which should have been fed from the riverbank down to the actual camera following it. He's actually paddling. You see him paddling, and a duck swam by him the opposite way. You can see him paddle down the river. It's embarrassing. And that went by. And then I was invited to the College of Police and Review in London. I took an ex-senior officer with me, former chief, and as evidence to oversee everything. Now, they sent me by mistake one day 10 questions, and it said PF questions, and the secretary accidentally sent it to me. And quickly tried to and they rejected the email, but I'd already saved it to my laptop quickly. And they then I've got the proof of this. They actually, I think what they call it, don't recall them. They never have to do it. But anyway, they recalled the email quickly. But I've got the proof of it. And then I knew what the questions were. So then they asked me to sign an NDA, and I refused. I said I want this to be transparent. Then they agreed not to offer me not an NDA. So we got invited to this hotel in London, and I'm thinking I'm going to meet the boss who's running this, and it was very odd. And the guy who was with me said, very odd that we're going to a hotel in London. You would think we would go to the College of Policing because it's secure. So we're now in a conference room in London at a hotel, which is not secure. Anybody could have been listening. Anybody could have put a bug in this room. And there's two detectives, a male and a female, me and the other person. So we filled the form in, and again, my answers and questions are all on the website. You'll see them. So I've been totally transparent here. We've taken out the emails from the police at the end because it lists numbers, etc., etc. So focus on the questions. And it was all about, why did you speak to the media? Why did you go against our narrative? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you go against the police? What would you have done differently? Not one question related to the search. I think that's rather telling, isn't it? Not one question. And we could see it. And as soon as we got there, she said, I in reference, I'm police officer, da-di-da. I'm asking you to sign this NDA. And I said, I'm not signing it. She said, I'm going to ask you again. And I said, I'm not signing it. And it was more like an interrogation. And then my colleague butted in. He said, excuse me, you're not conducting this fairly. And she said, who are you? And then he reeled off his credentials, and it was like, sorry, sir. And then she asked me 4 times in that meeting to sign an NDA, which I blankly refused because I knew I was being set up. And to be honest, an NDA is not worth the paper it's written on anyway. To be honest, it's only a civil matter. And then we had this room in the hotel, so they asked me all these questions. Then at the end, I said, "You are aware of my evidence? What evidence? You are aware of my sonar imagery I've got. What do you mean sonar imagery?" I said, well, I found what I believe to be Nicola in the river. We kept this bit up our sleeve until the end. It said, well, you got 5 minutes because we got to be out. We got to vacate the room. Unbelievable. The room has run out. We got people now waiting outside the room to use the same room that we're conducting a formal inquiry in. How does that work? And I opened the laptop. I said, I got this imagery. Yeah, okay, well, that'll do now. I said, well, we need to really show this. Can you come back, because we really do need to show this live data to think, because it's really important. And I only showed her the shadow images. Yeah, we'll come back. So that was it. So I tried then I got notification that the report was going to be published at probably around in November or whatever. And then I thought, I'm not having this. So I wrote a formal letter to the 3 pages. Again, it's all included. Say, this is without doubt the body of Nicola Bulley, and this needs to be investigated properly, and it needs to be honest and transparent in any review published. You're not going to bring it back, but at the end of the day, we need to be transparent, because the trust in policing is at all-time low, and it's going to, cause damage, and we need to be working together. And read the letter, it's in there. And they came back within 5 days, because it was a long weekend. I think we sent it on the Thursday. They come back and said, we've sought further expert opinion, went to a government expert, went to one at Cranfield, and they said it doesn't represent human form. And by the way, we've showed Nicola's family, they're clearly upset. Well, why would they be upset if it was that was it? They said there was nothing there. But why would you be upset if there was nothing there? Now, when the College of Police and Review was published, the diver said the find was a tree branch. So 1 minute it's nothing. They're not quite sure. 1 minute it's a tree branch. Next minute it's nothing. How do you work that one out? A tree branch against nothing. GPS coordinates that didn't exist. Naming me 56 times, naming my company 30 times. Apparently a senior officer in Lancashire refused to take part in the inquiry, as exposed on Laura Richards' video as well, who was ex-Met homicide command. And I've had so many people come to me, you've got to get your story out there, because these people need hanging out to dry, because they've misled the public. They've destroyed my reputation. Well, they've tried. And it's totally misleading, and it must go before the Home Affairs Committee. And if this doesn't work, I will put a petition together, and I think we'll get massive impact on that petition as well.
You will. I've seen it mentioned in here.
Yeah,
a few
I
times.
think it needs to happen, because I'm not going to give up on this one. It's so serious. And the trouble is, and I think those who agree with me, if Lancashire Police come out now, the Chief Constable actually said, I believe we've made mistakes, and we apologise to Mr. Faulding. We believe we've made mistakes, and we're now going to carry out a full investigation and be transparent in public. They would gain so much credibility. They would go, do you know what? They've made mistakes. It might hit the headlines for a couple of days, but apart from that, it would start to restore trust in the way we behave in public service. I can't do that at work. I can't mislead my team. If I make a mistake, I'll own up to it. Doesn't matter what rank you are, whatever you are within a business, you need to be honest, open and transparent in the stuff you do. And that's why.
Hey,
cool.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say this before I forget about it. For anyone that isn't aware, and I think many people are, but I want to say it now and read into this, extrapolate what you will. 2 weeks before the College of Policing report and our interview, where you said you found Nicola Bulley in the river, Rebecca Smith, SIO, retired. And I believe it was early retirement.
Yeah.
3 days after we did our Q&A,
yeah,
which was in December, and I remember it was December because it was freezing in my conservatory.
Yeah,
right? 3 days after the Q&A, Peter Lawson, who was, I believe he was in charge.
He was in charge, yeah.
Yeah. So Peter Lawson, who was in charge, 3 days after the Q&A, when you said you were going to get the SONAR verified and take it to the Home Office,
yeah,
he was found at age 50.
Yeah.
He was found dead at his home.
Sadly,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the January, if I'm not mistaken, the Chief Constable of Lancashire Police he retired as well.
Yeah. On the 2nd of January, he was, he announced his early retirement.
So our interview, and when you broke the news, was on the 21st of January. Sorry, 21st of November 2023.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks prior, Becky Smith retires early. Then the person in charge of the investigation, Peter Lawson, died in December, and then the Chief Constable retired in January. So within November. Sorry, that's like I think it's like a 7. I've said this before. It's like a 7-week period. 3 very high ranking officers
gone.
within
Oh,
a
God.
7-week period, all either retired or passed away
Mm,
around the time at both ends of the
yeah.
COP report and our interview and what you have and what you came out with. I just want to put that on record. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
all. I just want to put that out
and
there. Let people just take from that what they will.
but I think the important bit as well is within a couple of days after the College of Policing review, I was actually formally struck off the National Crime Agency database. Now, I'll be honest with you, that database, I wouldn't been used on it for years anyway. That's not where our work comes through, because we had memorandum of understandings with 6 police forces that for diving anyway, so it didn't come through there. And since, like I said, there was issues with the current national search advisor and the previous one, who didn't want me on anything anyway. Because I get archaeologists talk me, Pete, you should have been there. You know, when they were doing the Peter Tobin case down in Sussex, I done the Tobin case in Scotland with my team and down in Southsea, but further investigations on Tobin went on, and we got because where I live on a farm, I've got alpaca graves and stuff where I still train students and forensic people. You know, given my own time, I don't charge them for it, but I pass knowledge on. So there's lots of things here where it's everything shifted the blame to me. And then the Chief Constable of Lancashire, as you were seeing the clip, that she's come out and said, you know, we conducted a fantastic operation. You know, it was thoroughly done, you know, professional. No, it wasn't done professionally, otherwise Nicola would have been found. We all know that. But they were quite happily all to come and blame me. Faulding said she was in the river and and she was found in the reeds. Well, today I've explained the reason, and they acknowledged that in the report, that the flooding water come over the weir and carried her back down the river. There's lots of I've labelled all the misleading statements in there. It's one after the other after the other, and the biggest one of all.
Thank you, Helen.
The
Sorry, Pete,
biggest.
carry on.
Sorry, that's all right. The biggest one of all is the sonar data that was never ever analysed, and it was suppressed from the public view, and it's never been spoken about. And they know that it's Nicola. They know full well it's Nicola, and that's why they've never wanted me to talk publicly about it.
You're more confident now than you've ever been, and I think it's great, mate. Can
Well, I
I
think, yeah,
Can I just, right, I just want, while there's 540 people here now, I want to just shoehorn something in quickly, okay? Because um, there's right. I'll explain. I'll explain this quite quickly. So I just want to mention a case that I've worked on recently with a couple called Paul and Julie Merrick. Okay. Now the reason I want to mention that is because basically, Paul and Julie Merrick, their son died, okay, and it's gone down as like a tragic accident or something along those lines, right? Now, the in my opinion, there's many similarities between the Nicola Bulley case and the case of John Merrick in terms of the investigation, the inconsistencies, the plot holes, the many things that don't make sense, and the general feel of how both investigations seem to be handled. So just want to let people know while they're here, that video is available under the title "The Most Suspicious Death You'll Ever Hear." Now, if you the couple are a lovely couple, and they deserve justice. They truly believe
yeah,
this, and they deserve justice. So I just want to let people know that video is available under the title "The Most Suspicious Death You'll Ever Hear," and it's a couple of videos ago. While I've got the chance, I just want to I want to put that out there, because when people watch that video, the similarities in terms of the investigations are uncanny. So go and check that out if you want to. But anyway, carry on, Pete.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's the sort of crux of it, really. It's just been a total side swipe at me, totally unprofessional. I've never seen, you know, all the people everyone I talk to about it is just shocking. And when I met with the Daily Mail in London, and again, I never got paid for that article, never demanded money. The reporter Martin was absolutely gobsmacked at the evidence against them. It stacks. It's completely stacked up. He went through the report. He went through everything. And it's just lie after lie after lie after lie. The dates are wrong. The depth of the water's wrong. The water flow's wrong. The reconstruction's wrong. The sonar data. I mean, and that's the key behind all this. So if I took a screenshot, and I want to explain how sonar data works to measure a body. So when I find a target, if I'm looking for someone 5'6" or whatever, I can run the ruler down this back, which I did. I can enhance, and I can see. So when Nicola was measured, it measured 1.6365 meters, whatever it was. It matched her height, not to the millimeter. It's very accurate, but I can measure, and the chance of a log looking like a body, exactly the same length as Nicola, within 75 meters of where a lady apparently went missing in a river in slow moving water, is impossible. That's the key to this. And with three people verifying the find now, it's 100% that is Nicola laying in the river. She was missed all along. She could not have been anywhere else. She could not have been anywhere else but in that river. And targets. The key is, but the other thing is the diver. So the diver went in the river, and you need to read the report. And they said he or she, whoever the diver was, he said that when I dived, the area was the clearest water that I've ever dived in, similar lines, and I've never seen such a flat bottom. Well, that's totally wrong, because if you look again in the report, Nicola was laying within a sandbank. She was concealed behind a sandbank, and it's been highlighted in blue. You can see it on sonar, and any sonar operator would confirm that. She's actually it's like a horseshoe shape sandbank around her. And if they said it was tree branches, so you imagine this is really important. So they said it was tree branches or it was nothing. They're not quite sure what it was. So if it was tree branches laying on the bottom, they would have had to lift the tree branches to make sure there was no body underneath the tree branches. And it would have shown all their tracks on the floor and the drag marks. Now the shadows, and it wasn't tree branches, by the way. Tree branches give a mesh like cover. They don't look like they look. And when I start my sonar scan on Doug's video, you'll see as a tree laying on the bottom near the bench in the deep water off the shelf. Now, if they had moved that object, if it wasn't an object, it was Nicola, and searched it properly, there would have been their kneeling marks all over the ground because the sonar picks up on it, and the shadows would have shifted because the branches, if it was tree branches, would have been different. There was no difference on the shadows in the morning and afternoon. There was no ground disturbance. So that has proven 100% that diver was not in the right area. Hands down. So we've got that evidence, and they never thought we'd have that. And it's time date stamped, it can't be changed. So the shadows in the morning are the arms, and the shadows in the afternoon are exactly the same position, running on the same bearing and the same length as they were in the morning. And that can't be changed. So again, within that horseshoe shape where Nicola was, just off the island, she's been missed.
What do you want to happen now?
I said before, Luke, I think personally, it needs to go before the Home Affairs Select Committee. I want those brought before in public, not behind closed doors. Because the public have lost the trust in the British police, and that's sad because there's so many good police officers out there who work. I've worked some fantastic ones over the years. I have the greatest respect. I mean, where I live in Sussex, the police pop round and have a coffee with me. They pop round to see the animals. I know them all. When the trees come down in the winter, I live on a farm. I go out and help the police clear the roads from trees falling down. I got the chainsaw because we got all the machinery on the farm. Yeah. I got no problem with the police, and that's what I want to make clear. And I'm not going to have I got no problem with the government, because I'm not going to get political about this. I'm not going to start running the Prime Minister down or the Home Secretary. This isn't about them. This is about a system that's now we've been sidelined. Families are now suffering. And I care about families and the way I see people left laying in rivers. If you start Googling, Thames Valley Police body missing, and you will see they're found weeks later. They say the police have recovered a body today. It's not a search team, because someone's reported it to the police. They found a body taking their dog for a walk, but it goes out that the police have recovered a body.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's like the two sisters who went missing in Glasgow. They weren't found. How long? 10 days. Gaynor Lord, not sound. Found where she went in, near enough.
Oh yeah, Gaynor Lord, yeah.
Victoria Taylor found not where she went in. Days, 9 days, 12 days. They should be found. I mean, Nicola, if we'd been there on day one, that we wouldn't have done because we don't cover their area. But if a proper search had been done on day one using the proper sonar and the proper operator with relevant experience, Nicola Bulley would be recovered on day one, without a doubt, in that water. The only difference is if you're at sea, and if someone goes missing off a beach in the sea, the chance of finding them is highly unlikely. They get washed up on a beach somewhere because the heavy tidal currents. If someone's in an extremely fast moving river, now this river was not moving fast. If it was somewhere
Hold that. This river wasn't moving fast. Jackie T says justice for Nicola, her family, and Peter.
Right, thank you.
So river wasn't moving fast.
It wasn't when,
sorry.
and the family friends said that, and I've had confirmation from locals who've said to me, Peter, the river, I went down there when she went missing. It was not moving quickly. Overstated the report when I said that they've used river current rather than river speed. Totally, they can't be the same thing. So watch Doug's video, watch the podcast, and it gives you all the information out there. So there's a lot of facts. It's so misleading. What I want to happen, I want them brought before the Home Affairs Committee, the Chief Constable, the ex-police crime commissioner, those who authored the report, those who signed it off, all questioned in front of MPs, in front of a committee. And I'm happy to go there with our experts and tell the truth as it is. And this is the only way we'll know that the mistakes were made, because they won't be able to get out of it, because it's misleading. I've had my reputation destroyed on the back of a misleading report, and that's why I'm now bringing this into the public eye. And it's only recently, I said, when I met Amy, when we were being bad remarks were being made against us in Surrey by a senior officer, although the detectives were saying best people to get in SGI. They were advising the family that best people to bring in is us. Wiltshire, the police search advisor, wouldn't even talk to us, would not communicate with us at all. And it's this within the search world, they just don't want us being there. Let's think about the families for a change, shall we? Let's think about the families who are now suffering rather than the ego part. And we need urgent action. And the government should be taking advice from people like me on water search. The National Search Advisor is not a water expert. He's not a diver. He doesn't operate sonar. So here, and the Police Search Advisor from Wiltshire, Lancashire, was not a diver, was not a water specialist, did not understand sonar, and they have made the decision to say that we've searched that area thoroughly and we've done a proper job. They're not even water specialists. If a diver had actually given that indication and said, we think she might have gone over the weir or something, but any expert, if you look at the water flow data on that day, it would have been absolutely impossible for Nicola to get over the weir, fall in, she would have sunk to the bottom. And that's all through my experience. We have never had a body drift away from a location unless it had been there maybe 10, 15 days or so. It might have slowly moved down the river with a slow current. When it becomes buoyant, once the body decomposes and bloats, then it will become light and it will get carried away slowly down the river. In this situation, straight to the bottom.
I think you're owed a public apology, mate, and I think a lot of people do. However, how likely do you think that is? Because if you got an apology, which I think you should, right, and a lot of people do, but then in order to receive that apology, then the the authorities would have to admit wrongdoing.
That's right.
And are you going to bet your mortgage that that would happen?
I would never get a public apology, Luke. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, it takes one man, a bit like Alan Bates did with the Horizon scandal, and it took families with the Hillsborough scandal, years the Hillsborough, the grooming gang scandal. There was cover up after cover up within them inquiries by police. Senior people were covering that up. It's like the chap who was raped, who was accused of rape.
Say ard, please.
It who was raped in Manchester.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, there was a
Try not to say that word. It's a bit.
there was a man accused of
Offensive.
offences there was a man accused of serious offences, and he got jailed for he spent 16 years of his life in jail. After 3 years, they knew that he was innocent, yet they didn't want to admit it because it would have made the authorities look bad, so they left him in jail. And if you look it up, he was in Manchester a couple of years ago, and he was released. Absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. So it is happening out there. But
it's a bit like I mean, I don't want to go into other cases, but it's a little bit.
no.
Joe Dando, Barry George.
Yeah.
You know,
Barry George, another one. Yeah, another one who was wrongly accused. But I think what we've got to do, we've got to have some transparency, and it's the only way we're going to improve. And the trouble is, each time this happens, like I've said before, it tarnishes all the good, hard-working police officers who go there each day to protect us, and like the people responded to the Manchester incident earlier. But they're in the firing line all the time. They're the ones who are getting abuse from the public, when actually a lot of them are perfectly decent people, and they got families like you and me, and they just want to get on with their job. But a lot of time they get constrained. So I think we just need we need a bit of decency back into this system, and people to admit their failures, rather than shift blame on other people.
Yeah. I just want to let people know that what we'll do is we'll take this till 10:30. We've got 25 minutes because you're an hour. I think you're an hour ahead. It's getting on a little bit, but that within that 25 minutes, do you want to? Is there anything that do you want to pop into the statement? Do you want to pop into it? Is there any part of the COP report you want to look at all?
I think I've probably said it all, Luke. To be fair, I think if you read the report, I mean, you just got to go College of Police and review Nicola Bulley. Just go into it. It's actually on my personal Facebook page and SGI page. It's there, and it's in a hyperlink, I think, somewhere. And it's just completely flawed and misleading. An inquiry, a review that was meant to, and by the way, this is the only, Doug said this, and I'm going from what he said, is the only case specific review that the College of Policing have ever carried out. Okay, so work that out. It's the only one they've ever done, apparently. So this was commissioned by the Police and Crime Commissioner, and then it was given to them. So effectively, it's police marking their own homework.
I'm just going to say those words.
It's not independent at all. It's actually not independent. It's actually, they are marking their own homework, and and like Doug said, the police, they've gone against their own standards, because they said they're meant to give a right to reply. They never gave me a right to reply, because they never even showed me the report prior to, only a few hours before release, when it had already been published. So
the College of Policing marking their own homework comment you've just said, it's like someone committing a crime and making their own alibi.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, it is, exactly, and it's wrong. They shouldn't be able to do this, but they did.
Start a petition, Pete. There'll be many of us that'll sign it.
Yeah, I probably will. I'll do something, but obviously it'll be a legal thing as well. So there's lots going on in the back. I'm taking lots of legal advice at the moment on this, so it's not just that. And if I have to take all the senior people into a civil court, I've got the money to do it, and I will do it. I've got no problem with that. But that will be probably one of the most highly embarrassing cases in British legal history, because you're pulling senior police officers into a high court where they would have to be questioned by King's Counsel.
Well, that's it. And you play with fire, you get burnt. Like repercussions.
That's
There's
right.
reactions to actions.
That's right. And it's a shame that it's all come to this. Really, it's a shame that what they should have said in the report is, we thank Mr. Faulding for his giving, his views, presenting his evidence. We thoroughly reviewed his live sonar data, and I would have happily given it to the experts, and they could have said, okay, if they'd seen it, they would know where to go with it. They know that. If they had seen my live, that's why they didn't give it to them, because they knew that was a body. And if I'd given it to them, the experts would have said, actually, there's no way out of this, because it measures exactly the same height as Nicola.
Mm.
The shadows and everything that you're presenting, and when you see me outline the body in blue, it's a crime scene, classic crime scene chalk around the body. You can't miss it. You cannot miss it. I mean, there's those people out there on a daily basis who, in these forums, Peter Faulding, it's tree branches, it's tree branches, it's tree branches. Yeah, I'd like to know their sonar training and what experience they've got.
Oh, there's loads of sonar experts out there.
Yeah, I know there is. They all come out the woodwork on these sorts of things, but at the end of the day, crawl back into the woodwork. But I think I'm just more interested in. I just want to get the truth out, so we can all move on and make the UK a better place for underwater search, the way they should do it. And again, there's a group in America called Adventures with Purpose, and I think they're volunteers, actually, quite interesting. And again, they are going around locating missing people in cars, bodies, what the police have failed to do, because they've got sonar. They're a really keen bunch they've got a huge following on social media, 2 or 3 million, I think, something like that. Incredible. Wow. And they produce, have a look at them, Adventures with Purpose, and they've got sonar.
I'll write it down now.
They're really good, and it's an interesting bunch in America. I've got greatest respect for them, but they go out searching rivers, lagoons, and they're doing exactly what we do. I mean, we normally get paid. I said that's why I've been transparent, because people accuse me of. I got accused today on Twitter. You effing this. You're making a fortune out of Nicola Bulley. I lost money. I've never made any money out of this. And people think, oh, you're trying to sell a book. I've never. And that's another point I want to make. When my book was launched on the 2nd of February, before Nicola went missing, people said, "Oh, you've written the book because Nicola." That took me a year to work on.
Sorry, I've got to correct you there. You said
it took me a year to get that book published. It's a lot of work.
I've got to correct something for yourself here. You said the book was the 2nd of February before she went missing. She was missing on the 27th.
Oh, sorry, hang on. No, hold on. No, she went missing on the 27th of January.
Yeah.
On the 2nd of February, we had the launch.
Yeah.
On the thing, which we had that was planned for months ahead. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
And then on the Sunday night, I was due to go on radio, TV the following week, because the Mail done they serialized my book on a couple of the pages, and I had media things the following week, as people write books do with Pan Macmillan, because they're a big publisher. Radio interviews. I had to cancel all media, and I've got the email to prove it. I actually cancelled all my book publicity to say I can't be seen, and the book was never mentioned for months anywhere. And I deliberately done that, so I lost book sales. But people think you make a fortune out of books. Unless you're Jeffrey Archer, you don't. I don't need the money.
So what if you do make a fortune out of a book? It's your book.
The thing is, the trouble is, people think you do. You actually don't, unless you're a big author. You've got to be a big author, Luke. You've got to be a Jeffrey Archer of the world, or someone like that, or some of the other Peter
Danielle
James.
Steele.
Yeah, you've got. I know Peter James very well. The crime, he writes his novels, and we'll go to his book launches all the time. Every year Peter brings a book out with Pam Macmillan every year. He comes to me for occasional advice, and I've been acknowledged in a couple of his books on forensic work and lots of other experts. We all know each other, and but I think. Yeah, people have got no idea of the sacrifices that I gave and the company and with the money that cost us to run this operation. We never made a penny, and we've never made a penny since. And when I got offered money in London for 2 interviews. I think it was Talk TV after I came back, and I think it was £400 or something, £500 to cover my expenses. I asked them to donate that to my life jacket campaign. And those who don't know that I do that, I've got a life jacket campaign called the Lucas Dobson Water Safety Campaign. Google it.
Yeah.
Where I fly around the helicopter, my own money, and I fund the life jackets, and I do water safety talks for schools. And I land at the school, give 8-10 life jackets to the school kids. You can see the website. I don't
It's
make no
on
money.
the documentary we did as well.
That's right. And
Speak about it.
I do that in my own time and my own money in my own spare time, trying to promote water safety, because again, we don't have it in the national curriculum. That's the problem. So we're not teaching kids about water safety, and we need to. And that's another aim of mine. At the moment, I won't be very popular, but at the end of the day, I would love to get that into schools, as I've offered to fund a water safety video myself out of my own money, which will be free on YouTube that anybody could use.
That'd be good.
And I want to do it. But again, it's not quite as easy to get government officials to listen to you. And this is the problem. That's not a political knock at anybody, because any government what's in, and I will say that the last underwater search unit that got disbanded, I think was Norfolk. I think it was Norfolk Fire Service. They had an underwater search. It was about 2017. That was under the previous government. So what I'm not going to start turning around and say, "Oh, Labour have got rid of all the underwater search units," because they actually haven't. This has been decimated for many years on successive governments. So this is not a political knock here. This is about, we just need people to sit up and listen and go, do you know what? This guy's got a point. We need to talk to him, because how can we make things better? How can we build trust again? It's not about police, or the police don't know everything. They're not all underwater search experts, and you've got people with no expertise advising on water search. They should bring the right people in from day one. Nobody wants to be on TV. Nobody wants their name mentioned. As I said before, I'm not a publicity merchant. I don't like being in the public eye because I've been slammed so much. I'd rather shy away from it, if I'm honest. But all I want to do is bring back the water search, make things decent again. So that we and what it'll do, if they brought us back, it would make the police's reputation better, because then everyone is working as a team, and we bring closure quickly for the families, and then we all go home, and the family get what they want. But anyway, that's
You'd think that they'd be appreciative of having that service.
Yeah.
Because then that takes pressure off them.
But it was, yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
It takes huge pressure, and there's no financial burden. So people could turn around and say, "Oh, we've got no underwater. Let's start a new underwater." So to train a police diver is a minimum of 8 weeks. Then you've got a team with no experience. Then you've got to fund that team with a dive truck, which is probably going to cost £500,000. On top of that, all the equipment and the servicing, the wages. To fund a dive unit is probably going to be £2 or £3 million a year, just a dive unit alone. I fund our own with our own team, and it costs me a large amount of money. All our dive cylinders have just been retested. All our hoses have had to go off and be pressure tested. Our masks they have to. You cannot. We just had an inspection by the HSE a few weeks ago. It's a standard thing. You get inspected. We come out flying, gleaming, but you get inspections. This all costs money to get. This kit can't be not like sport kit where you just put it on your back and dive. This has to be, everything has to be certified and checked. Compressors have to be tested. There's a lot of money to run a dive unit.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can
It's a
imagine
lot of
how.
money. It's a, you saw the equipment that day, Luke. I
Yeah.
mean, the sonar alone, that's one of our sonars. We got 2 sonars. They're the 55,000 pounds. Serious
Yeah.
amount of money. And the one I bought in 1999 cost 33,000 pounds at the time.
Yeah, not cheap, are
At
they?
the time.
We've got 12 minutes left. Let's get to 400 likes before the before this fascinating, intriguing, and interesting live comes to an end. 27 away. Let me just have a quick look through. We've covered quite a lot here.
Okay.
We've got 12 minutes here.
Do you know what
Is there
time?
anything?
It's 20 past 11 in Switzerland.
20 past 10 in
So
the
is it 20 past 11? Yeah, because if I look tired, I've been driving since early this morning, and
Yeah, you do look tired.
I've been driving all day. I'm done, and then I cooked my dinner earlier in the motorhome, and then I had a shower and I jumped straight in, had a shave, and I'm here. So if I do look tired, I don't normally look this tired, but I am particularly
What, did
tired
you
tonight.
shave your head?
Yeah, I do. That's the way I do it. There's no good trying to polish it, is it? You might as well just. It's easier to zip it off.
Wax on, wax off.
Much easier.
I'm bald. I'm bald here now.
Oh yeah. Well, mine went a long time ago, and there's no good. It's no good doing a comb over, is it? So it's easier just to zip it off, do a Kojak. But anyway, go on,
What's
Luke.
is there any jobs coming up? Any with SGI that we can?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on the way to, and I'm not going to announce the country I'm on to at the moment, but I will be. So we're going to be training a European country, another country in underwater search techniques, and we've got a British. This is sort of working with the British government, etc., and foreign governments to enhance their underwater search capability. It's a new dive team, so we're not doing the diver training. We're doing the search training, the specific search training underwater on how to locate people. So we're there for a week. So I will be putting it up once we've done the training and where we are exactly. It'll be putting up on the social media feeds. So it's nothing confidential about it, but we just tend to keep where we're going, obviously confidential at the time. Otherwise, you get people turn up trying to photograph and do all sorts and getting in the way. So it's easier to just do it. So that's where I'm on the way to now. So I'll be driving tomorrow up early in the morning and then driving. And then obviously remotely I've got the business to run as well. So my daughter's one of the directors, but I'm away. I've got my great team at work, my admin people in the office. So I've got, 4 ladies on ad. We got four ladies looking after the accounts and everything else. So it's quite a big team. Then we got a 24/7 control room that man 24/7 hours a day, take any calls that come in. We got our maritime operations that we work on big infrastructure projects. So we got our boats running each week out at sea, which again is confidential, but we have our maritime operations that we're running. We obviously have our protester type operations. One the other week, we had to go and involved in a hazardous sort of eviction of a chap on a ledge. He was in an unsafe place. That's why we got called in, and the potential of the area collapsing. So we did that. So yeah, we're a busy team. We're very, very, very busy, and we also run a big security operation as well. So we're sort of on the other side of the business, which is confidential. But so
Hey,
we're
I'm just sorry. I'm just going through. I try right. Anyone that knows me, I don't go live a lot because well, when I'm with someone like yourself, yeah, then I've got someone to bounce off, yeah. But when I'm on my own, I'm just staring at the chat. So I've not ignored it, right, at all. Oh, I'm sorry, I've not ignored it. If I look at it, I will totally go off track, right? But I've had a little look. Because we're coming to the end. And I've noticed quite a few people are saying, what's the family's reaction been to the sonar? Have they seen it?
Well, as you know, I've communicated with them before releasing the report, and they had no. Sorry, I'm wiping my eyes. I'm quite tired. I am tired now. We've informed the family and the representatives of what we were doing, and they had no objection. So in full communication with them, and I think there will be a lot of things going on in the background that I'm not privy to, because obviously there's quite compelling evidence here now what's highlighted it. And like I said all along, I want to make it very clear, and I want to thank everyone for all your support. I would not go
Someone
out.
just said, Luke, let him go to sleep. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I would not. Yeah, I would not go out all this way, put my neck on the line if I was wrong. I would just bury my head and get on with our business, because I don't need the money. I don't need I'm not getting no money. I don't need publicity. I don't get anything out of this. But all I want is a change for the good. And I want the government to listen to me and go, Peter, let's have a chat. Come in, tell us how we can. I'm not trying to make any money out of it. I give my time free. I pay for my own expenses. I sat on a Home Office working group once with the government on other specialist work. And I was a key advisor on that. So I'm used to working at that level. But listen to what I've got to say, because if you do, we can make it great again in the underwater search fields, and everyone works together, because for years we've worked in harmony with the police. And since we went to Lancashire, we've now become public enemy number one for no reason of no fault of our own. All we did was help a grieving family, and that's all we did. And again, people said you fell out with the family, and that's the other thing. In the College of Policing report, they said that I'd upset the family by saying I found a deposition site. I didn't say that. I said I think there's potential could be buried evidence, but not to the family. I said what I said. They said a body deposition site.
Yeah.
I never said that. That the hole was that big, but they misled the public by creating me out to be this bad person, when I never said that at all, and it was actually witnessed by two other people. So that's where we've got to straighten this out, because to unfairly chuck it on me, and what it's done now, it's created a rift between me and certain high-ranking police officers who I used to work with side by side, and it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's not behaviour I would expect from an officer and a gentleman, really. And that's the way I would do. I wouldn't do that to somebody. I wouldn't, and that's why I said this. It's very easy for people to badmouth me online. They don't know me as an individual. I'm a family man, and I don't do any harm to anybody. I'm quite happy on my farm with my animals. I work from home a lot, so I'm sort of semi-retired, but I'm at the helm of the business. So if we get called out on a job, on goes my work rig, like I am where I'm going now, and I've got my uniform and everything with me. I'll be with the team. I had my dive medical a couple of weeks ago, where I had my annual diving medical. So I'm operational with the team. I don't do as much as I used to, but on every drowning, whenever we went, I would always be at the helm of the sonar, and I would be there locating the drowning victims, and also the tough job of, they think it's always the police, but the police would often say to me, can you deal with the family for us? And I'd have to deliver that message. And when we searched for Xylo, the Assistant Chief Constable Michaela Kerr, I would say is one of the best officers I've ever met. She's absolutely brilliant. She actually said to me, Peter, could you please brief the family on a daily basis for us while you're here, because they don't trust us, sadly. And I used to meet them with a family liaison officer, and I would tell them exactly what it was happening, and I would brief them. And then when I left, she asked me to go and explain to the family what was happening. And then a few months later, they invited me back to a not celebrate, what they call it, a get together of all the search and rescue teams. The Lowland Rescue, the Met Police were there, and everybody came together for a working lunch. and a thank you for being there on that search. And this was after Nicola Bulley. And I was chatting to all the guys, and one of the guys from Kent Search and Rescue, their sonar guy, came and said, Peter, you know, what you put out, you can see it's a body. And that's the guy from Kent Search and Rescue, their sonar operator, said, we all know it's a body. You got nothing to hide. We've known your credentials for years.
Yeah.
It's sad, really, but again, that's an outstanding police force. Leicestershire and Rob Nixon, he's retired now, but Rob Nixon sent me a letter, personal letter, thanking me for my advice and the input I gave and the search. We were diving when I got there, searching for little Xylo.
Who's that? Who's Rob Nixon?
Rob Nixon, the chief constable of Leicestershire Police he's retired now, but he sent me an absolutely gleaming sort of report afterwards, thanking us. But when we were there, Nicola said, I'm not interested in egos. She actually said to me, she said, you will dive. If you find anything on your sonar, I want your divers to dive that. I'm not going to stop you. I know you're credible. I know you're an expert team. And the divers on the scene here, they have got no objection because there was a police dive team there as well. She said they got no problem with it. We were talking to them. There was no problem. We were talking to the police divers. So again, it's the public, the perception of we're bad people. It's a horrible thing to make that feeling that you're a bad person.
You're not. You're a top man, and loads of people know that.
Yeah.
Loads of people know that, and you can see, you can sense it. You can pick up energies of people, like bad person, good person straight away. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna wrap it like in it very shortly. I'm just gonna do a kind of ending. With 4 likes away from 400, which should be really, really, really brilliant. Pete, would you? I think I know the answer. If you are asked to go to a job, a search for any case in the future, if you are denied the power to dive, would you refuse that? If you're not allowed to dive, would you refuse it? Because you might put yourself in the same spot.
I couldn't put myself in the firing line. I couldn't go against police instruction. But what I would do is I would make it very clear at all ranks, rather than just a pulsar. I would go to the chief constable with it on record and say, "There's something here we need to know." Now, I can understand the initial bit from Lancashire because it was their operation. They didn't want us to dive. I can wear that. I got no problem with that because it was their operation.
Yeah.
But it was when a target was found and they said nothing, and I said I'm not happy with this, and I went back to then want to re-sonar. That was things where was not something not right, because a normal police officer would turn around, Peter, I'm going to listen to you as an expert and your team. I want you to re-sonar it, because if you're not happy with this, nor am I. I want you to go back, and if so, I may want your divers to go back in and check that area. And that would be the normal approach. But this was, you are going home. And I knew on that day that something was not right in Lancashire. And I think people need to be interviewed under caution. And I think different stories will probably come out. But I want something done so we can. And again, I'd say the last final thing I've got to say, I got the greatest respect for police officers. I've got no issues with them. I don't like people mislead. But at the end of the day, the normal ones, I say, they come around my house for coffee in Sussex because I live on the patch. They pop by and they see the animals. They get chased by Gerald, my turkey, and stuff. They drive up the driveway.
That turkey is crazy.
I've got no issues with the police. They do an outstanding job. And like I said, there's 2% of bad in every job, whatever you do, whether you're a plumber or whatever you are. So let's make that clear. I work with the police all the time. So greatest respect for them. So let's not bash a cop night. It's not about that. This is
no, not at all.
I know you're not. Let's try and make it better where we just get something. I don't want a long inquiry. I think we just need to get the Home Affairs Select Committee, look at this, and then if people have done wrong, off they go, and then we start again on a blank sheet and take the proper advice to make the best possible solution for the families.
Yeah, yeah. Pete, I think you should go to bed. I think it's getting on, and I want to say, now, I want to like wind it down and kind of summarize. That was absolutely fascinating. I learned a lot. I hope everybody else in the chat learned a lot. Thank you. We've had 500 people consistently for how long? 3.5 hours.
We've been talking 3.5 hours. Wow.
Yeah, and you've had 2 pee breaks. I've had 1, but I've not drank that much really. There's been 500 people here for the whole time, and you've been so transparent. I've asked you these questions. Some of that you didn't know what I was going to ask you. People can believe that or not. I don't really give 2 hoots if people believe that or not. We know. So yeah, I really, really want to thank you for your time, and hopefully now something does happen. I think this investigation needs reopening. I really do think this needs reopening, but I think higher up, Scotland Yard, government, whoever it may be. So before I just thank you and say goodbye to you, I want to thank everybody that's been in this chat tonight. It's been from what I've seen, and like I said, I don't look down a lot at it, because I will get, with my ADHD, I will get so distracted. It's why I don't do lives a lot. Thank you everybody that's contributed, that's been supportive, that's put the hearts in, and all that kind of stuff. I hope that I've asked the questions that you may have wanted to ask yourself. Again, you've been really, really transparent. You spent 3.5 hours of your time whilst you're actually away. And thank you for coming on to this channel. You're always, always, always welcome on this channel, Pete.
Thank you, Luke.
Always. And I think I speak for everybody. Can
I just say one thing? People say to me, they'd be wondering, why don't you go on a news channel? Why don't you go on make documentaries? Because the problem is doing a documentary, and you asked me to come on and have a chat, which is a happy days. You only get, if you record for an hour, you will only get a snippet of information. It might be a clip of 30 seconds. So that will be clipped. Yeah. And people won't see the full story. With a thing like this, we can actually get the full facts out. And that's why I decided to put a 19-page statement, how many pages it is. It took a lot of work to get all the facts laid down, not to run the police down, but the facts for the public, so they can actually see, well, actually, this guy's telling the truth. I've got nothing to hide. That's why I put the evidence up on the Specialist Group International website under Nicola Bulley, and you can see it, you can read it. It's all there. Thank you.
Yeah, and and thank you again, thank you for coming on this channel. I will never ever clip anyone out of context. I'll never manipulate.
No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't.
The banner of my channel says real life stories, and that's what I'm all about. I'm all about truth. I'm all about justice. When I was younger, like my mum, I've never been able to lie, right? Little white ones here and there. We all do little white ones. Do I look good in this? Do I look good in this dress? Yeah, when really, like, it's not that amazing, right? But I'm all about so yeah, well, saying then, my mum would look at me and go, I've got siblings. Who did that? And if I said no, well, she knows, like, well, it weren't him. And then she'd look at one of the other siblings and like, you. But anyway, yeah, my banner is real life stories. It's truth, it's justice, and that's what I'm just all about. I believe in you. I think you've proven it with your live sonar data. You've got it verified. Key point to just end. Sonar images have been verified. Someone just said, Luke, let the man sleep. Right, everybody, please like the comment. Like the comment if you want. Like the video. Leave a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the moderators. You might have had a tricky time tonight, I'm not sure, but thank you very much. And my final thank you goes to you, Peter Faulding. Everybody, have a wonderful evening, Pete. I'll give you a shout tomorrow. Have a great go to bed. Have a great rest of the. You probably whatever you're doing in the next few days, enjoy yourself. Again, thank you to everybody else. Have a great weekend. And as always, go on, you say it.
Thanks, everybody. Peace out.
Peace out.
See you later.
See you later, Pete.
Take care. Bye.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.